Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on this Sunday night, June 4th, to the second annual WGBB Tony Awards special. Yes, they liked it so much, they've done it again. And we've got a fantastic show for you. It's from 9 until midnight tonight, so we're a week away from the Tonys, which are next Sunday night. So here we are in our studios in West Babylon, New York. But take your mind away from Long Island for a moment and put it towards New York, towards the big city, towards Midtown, and all those theaters between 41st Street and 51st Street. Okay, you can throw in Lincoln Center up on 65th. We won't hold that against you. Anyway, welcome to the Tony Show. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, and if you recognize my voice, and I hope you do, although my voice is a little bit ragged because I came down with a cold before the big show, but my better voice is usually heard Sunday nights at 11 on WGBB. And I host a show called Dave's Gone By, which is a mix of comedy and talk and sketches and interviews, all sorts of stuff. But this particular time, it's going to be all theater. Sometimes I do theater on Dave's Gone By. But tonight, from 9 to midnight, we have so many guests. We have so much good stuff to do, including a bunch of critics calling in who are going to give their opinions and their picks of all the different Tony categories. Now, these are the people in the know. These are the folks who see all the shows all year long on Broadway. So they have insight, and they have their own very, very strong opinions, as you well know, of what should win, what should not win, what should never have been nominated, and what they're so sad never got nominated. We've got people like Rosalind Friedman, a Connecticut radio critic. We've got Simon Saltzman, who is the president of the Outer Critics Circle. They had their own awards a couple of weeks ago. Jeannie Lieberman, another fine critic with a website called theaterscene.net. We have Charles Gross, who's a television critic on a show called Two on the Aisle on Manhattan Cable TV. And my guest host in the studio, Jeff Goodman, who is also the co-host of Two on the Aisle. Before I welcome Jeff, though, our other big special guest calling in, I think in the 10 o'clock hour, will be a Tony-nominated actor, the one and only Danny Burstein of The Drowsy Chaperone. So I'm really, literally, as I'm saying, I got goosebumps. A, because he's so funny in the show, and B, because we actually have a semi-star type person. Can't believe it. I'm so proud. Want to thank also Tom Ross, the program director for GBB, Jeff Lowe, the station manager for WGBB, and a little nod to David Hinckley of the Daily News for giving us that mention in Saturday's paper. Thanks so much. Jeff Goodman, my co-host from Two on the Aisle, here on the GBB Tony Show. How are you?
Very good. How are you, David?
I'm
besides the cold.
Besides the cold. It gives me a nice
Besides being halfway to death, how are you?
Oh, I was only halfway to death during the Suzanne Summers show early this year. Otherwise, I may be parts of Lestat. Otherwise, I'm all right. Just congested. So you may have to occasionally take the reins a little bit if I get a little cloudy-headed or muggle voice. Do you think you can do that, Jeff?
Possibly. We'll see what we're discussing. It depends.
Well,
depends on the category. Well, but you know what time it is?
It's
crunch time for the Tonys.
Do you always watch the Tonys? Are you a big Tony fan? Big Tony?
Always.
Yeah.
It's me and a quarter Haagen-Dazs, you know.
What is your most memorable Tony moment that you can think of for you?
God. Oh, I have no idea.
I know I should have prepped you on the question, but...
Yeah. Well, I loved last year with Christina Applegate. That was just like the best.
Tell everybody what...
When she was on the road preparing for Sweet Charity, and the story is that she broke her ankle, was it?
Well, she did break her.
Right, yeah. And she broke her ankle, and then they weren't sure if the show was going to come to Broadway or not. It finally did. So, of course, when she was the first presenter on the Tonys last year, and she tripped into the pit, or some sort of hole in the stage, which was hilarious.
Very clever gag. Yeah. Okay, speaking... I was going to say... No, that's a terrible segue. I was going to say, speaking of clever gags, but no, I'm not doing a clever gag here. We're going to have a song here, and then we're going to get our first phone guest, your co-host, Charlie Gross, on the air. But first,
how lucky we are.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We have, it's not a Broadway song, but they have revived this year a very popular revue from a few years past called Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris. And I don't think they have a CD out yet, but I figured this song, considering the fact that we're going all the way until midnight, would be a rather appropriate way to start our delightfully big Tony Awards special. Here's from Jacques Brel is alive and well, living in Paris. Marathon.
She's actually not.
Well, no, he's dead and buried in I guess in Marseille. But
no, in Tahiti or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, even so, we can still play the song.
Okay.
Marathon, marathon, marathon. Join us now, we're on a marathon. We're always dancing when the music plays. Join us now, we're on a marathon. Dancing, dancing through the night and day. We must dance because the 20s roar. The 20s roar because of that of gin. Rodeo Joe and the road to sin. The road to whoopee and a whole lot more. Charlie Lindbergh, tons of confetti. MC Tony Sacco and Dirty Black Monday and the market cross. We keep on dancing and we won't stop. Marathon, marathon, marathon. Join us now, we're on a marathon. We're always dancing when the music plays. Join us now, we're on a marathon. Dancing, dancing through the nights and days. We must dance because the 30s scream. The 30s scream because the horsemen ride. Horse and Annie lives and he walks upside. Red light, shanty towns, fine and shine bright. Eight of Hitler and a big sweet Polly. Joseph Stalin and a bag full of jollies. Call your broker and buy marzipan while we keep on dancing, dancing on and on. Marathon, 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 marathon.
Yes, it is a marathon here.
Now we're on a marathon. We're always dancing when the music plays. Join us now, we're on a marathon. Dancing, dancing through the nights and days.
And we are dancing through the Tony nominees. Again, that was not a Broadway song. That's an off-Broadway song from the original Jacques Brel cast recording.
And David was dancing.
I was dancing across the run. I was dancing across the water like Cortez, which is a non-theater song that only non-theater people would get, I guess, but I had to do it anyway. We have a special guest on the phone who is the co-host with Jeff Goodman on a Manhattan cable TV show called Two on the Aisle that airs bi-weekly, I think, on Friday nights. Charles Gross will tell us all about it. Hello, Charles. You there?
Doing?
Oh, hi, I'm good, Charlie. How you feeling? You were under the weather this week also, weren't you?
I was. I'm getting over a cold. I hope you didn't catch it. But I'm feeling.
Yeah,
I'm feeling
he got it from you, Charlie. It's all your fault.
That's right.
Well, Jeff always likes to blame things on me.
Well, yeah, it's a mutual blame game kind of thing, but no blame here. Here, we only have sweetness and light and dissing about all the different people who are nominated. But Charlie, just real quick, tell people about Two on the Aisle.
Well, Two on the Aisle is kind of a Siskel and Ebert format, and Jeff and I have been doing it for quite some time. It's seen in Bergen County, New Jersey, on a weekly basis. I believe it's Channel 99. And it's also seen on Manhattan on Channel 57 every other week, Friday night, 8 o'clock.
And people can also watch it and listen to it on the net.
You can, yes.
By?
www.mnn.org, O-R-G.
And that's
M as in Mary, M as in Mary, N as in Nancy.
No, you got it wrong. It's MNN.
Oh, I'm sorry, MNN. Yeah. I guess I'm still under the weather.
Just do MNN for Manhattan Neighborhood Network. That's what it stands for.
Yes.
Oh well, Charlie.
But we're also going to be on Google.
Oh, did you get the video Google thing?
Yeah, video Google.
Tell people about
VideoGoogle.com. You can't see us just yet.
Okay.
We were going to have the Tony Awards show, which had a special guest critic named David Lefkowitz on it.
Who's he?
Unfortunately, he's had some equipment malfunctions.
Oh.
And so I don't know if we're going to get it on this year, but it will be on. It will certainly be on next
year. You can get our
and,
Tony Awards from last year.
Yeah. Well, when you're doing the 2007 nominees, you can broadcast the 2006 ones.
Yeah.
Just for comparison.
Yeah, well,
and we'll throw in the 2005.
Then you can see how well our predictions panned out.
Exactly. By the way, speaking of
unlike some wimpy film critics, we actually predict on Two on the Aisle not only who we think should win, but who we think will win.
Have you ever tallied up how you guys are doing over the years? What your your wins and losses are as far as just predictions?
I got more.
Yeah, you think?
I generally do better than Jeff.
Oh man, you really are Siskel and Eberting after all these years, aren't you? Well, thank God you're not, because Siskel's dead and Ebert's got cancer again. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Let's get to some of the categories, shall we? Let's start with the design stuff. Get that out of the way early. Not that these are lesser awards or of any kind of less importance.
I love these awards.
They're
I really
important.
do.
You go to the Broadway theater, not just
It's
to
a
but
visual
to see
medium.
it. Right. You can become part of it if the set is good. So let's start with
the problem with things like lighting, set design, costume design. You don't notice them per se, and that's a good thing.
Depending on the show,
if they're done right, you don't notice them.
Well, like
not necessarily set design. You notice.
True.
And it also depends. Like people would not have noticed, let's say, the Awaken Sing set so much, except for the fact that it becomes, over the course of the show, it slowly becomes dismantled and pulled off into the flies until there's no home set anymore. Some critics found that really impressive and part of the importance of this revival, and others said no, it was too distracting. It was a director / set designer's thing that took away.
Depends. Like a period piece tends to have a better chance because they can do something different. If it's like a modern play, they'll just think, oh well, they slapped together, some clothes went to Sears.
That's not true, because
No,
didn't you see Rabbit Hole?
But this...
Which had the best set design this year, I think.
Well, wait. Why did Rabbit Hole have... Because that's nominated.
Rabbit Hole, first of all,
John Lee Beatty.
had John Lee Beatty, who I think is brilliant. And they had a brilliant set design, which was on 3 turntables that turned simultaneously and created an entire house. And it was just visually stunning, and the way they moved from room to room, and the rooms actually moved.
Right, but the houses were verite. They were all looked absolutely real. So it wasn't an imagination thing. It was creating
but it was
totally
it was different
realistic.
rooms in the house. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just brilliant the way that set moved.
So that
and
would
how
be,
the set changed.
Would that be your choice for
Absolutely.
Let me read the nominations, by the way. They're for set design of a play: John Lee Beatty, Rabbit Hole; Bob Crowley for The History Boys; Santo Laquasto, 3 Days of Rain; and Michael Yergin, as we said, Awake and Sing. Charlie, what are your thoughts on that category?
Well, excuse me.
Of course, 3 Days of Rain did rain on the audience. So.
Exactly. Well,
I actually did like the set for 3 Days of Rain. I think it did convey the feeling of the show. So I don't think 3 Days of Rain is going to win because, A, the show closed, and because everyone is so down that Julia Roberts kind of gave a standard performance instead of a brilliant performance.
Right, but we're just talking about set at this point.
Right. Well, but again, I think it ties in because people are not, unless you've got, a Lion King or a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or, a Miss Saigon with a helicopter, people are not as aware of the set as they are of other aspects.
Even Tony voters, who should be a little more...
Even Tony voters. So, a show like Rabbit Hole, which is closed and is kind of off people's radar, probably, even if you totally agree with Jeff, and, I like Rabbit Hole quite a bit. I like the play as well as the set.
Uh-huh.
But I think History Boys, which is kind of sweeping everything, or seems to be sweeping everything, that's, getting, the scuttlebutt is that's the show that will win this year.
But the set, that was a terrible set. It had projections, and it had
well, the projections were there to keep everything moving and trick everything up between
really
scenes.
Part of the set.
Mm.
Projections are projections.
Right.
Just like there's no award for sound design.
And I've also heard complaints, and even I was fairly centered towards the front on History Boys, but I've heard complaints of people sitting on the far sides that they really feel among them you, Jeff.
Yes.
So that is a function of set design too. If whole parts of the audience either see the backstage area or feel sort of left out because the skew is really for front and center and perhaps for a smaller theater. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's let that one drop.
But again, History Boys seems to be the it show this year.
What about musicals? Let's go with set design for musicals. John Lee Beatty again. He did the Color Purple set. David Gallo did The Drowsy Chaperone. Derek McLean, The Pajama Game, and Clara Zieglerova for Jersey Boys. Again, for set design.
Personally, I think any time you can get a musical coming out of a refrigerator, that's worth something. Which is why my choice would be The Drowsy Chaperone. Just how they open up this apartment into this New York, presumably a New York City apartment, and suddenly it becomes the set of this, early 20th century musical. I just love that.
Jeff, any thoughts on that?
I thought it was the most creative set for sure.
Well, that should mean a lot, actually.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but it's also, does the set work? Like for Jersey Boy, I like the set also because it was very functional.
Yeah.
Jersey Boy covered a lot of little areas, and the set design had to be so perfect because you had to realize where they were. They were in auditoriums. They were in
cafes.
bedrooms.
They were driving into Passaic somewhere, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So there were prisons. I mean, it had and it was. I thought it was kind of a big metal monstrosity myself, but
prisons would be.
Yeah. No, but I mean.
Yeah, no, okay, so would Jersey Boys be your choice, Jeff?
I agree with Rousey Chaperone.
Because it's fun, I mean, out of the fridge. And
it's colorful, and it shows off.
Any thoughts on Color Purple? I mean, people are sort of disregarding it just because we were so bored by it, but on the set, I don't even, no offense, but I don't remember the set.
There were a lot of trucks for the set, the pieces that come in and out. Uh-huh. There was like a lot of shanties and,
Yeah.
Well, that was a good set, and I for one, was not bored with the show.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, we'll get to Best Playing Musical hopefully before the segment ends. So let's do the design things, and then we'll quickly weigh in on the big stuff. But costume design for a play, Michael Crass, The Constant Wife, Santa Laquasto, a touch of the poet Catherine Zuber, Awake and Sing, and once again Catherine Zuber for Edward Albee's Seascape. Charlie, let's go with you first.
Okay, well, I think all these shows have closed, haven't they?
Yeah, mercifully for a couple of...
No, Awake
and Sing is actually extended, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right, so Awake and Sing is open. That kind of gives it an advantage. Shows that are still running tend to be looked on more favorably, whether they deserve it or not. However, in this case, I think the giant lizard in Seascape will get the Tony from this.
Well, this is also a tough category for her because she's nominated for a show that's open and a show that's closed, and the better costumes are really for the closed show, but it may split the votes.
Well, but then again, I mean, you can't put a lizard in Awake and Sing. I mean, you can't. Is it better if they could design all the family lizards?
The costumes were very, very good in Awake and Sing in Seascape. There were only 4 of them,
right?
But I thought that the older couple was dressed they were perfect for what they were doing. It was functional. They moved well.
Do you think The Constant Wife has any shot because it was a period piece?
No.
And those tend, like in movies.
No one remembers it.
Well, actually, given the amount of Tonys it's been nominated for, apparently a lot of people have remembered it, which is
that was one Tony nominated, and whoever you are, I'll get you.
Right, a friend of the Redgraves or something, yeah.
Well, Lynn Redgrave was nominated.
Right, exactly. Well, or they were just filling categories. It was a cute revival, but it wasn't special.
was also nominated.
It's the Roundabout. They have to nominate the Roundabout, or the Tonys explode. I told you that before.
Let's get to the explosive costumes for musical. See, I do these horrible segues.
You haven't told us your picks at all.
I don't have time to think about my picks.
Okay.
Well, I think you're kind of right about the Seascape lizard. I think if they want to give Seascape anything, that would be the thing. Certainly not for set, which is sand.
I thought the set was really...
It was fine. It was fine. It was what it was.
But they had to have all those levels, and they had to have... There was a lot of stuff going on. I thought it was a brilliant revival.
Oh, I don't like the play to begin with. But anyway, that's other stuff. Costume design for a musical. Greg Barnes, The Drowsy Chaperone. Susan Hilferty for Lestat. Martin Pakledingas, probably mispronouncing that, The Pajama Game. And...
It's Pakledingas. Don't you remember when Dame Edna gave him his Tony? And just talked over his whole acceptance time. It took everything because she gave a big kiss on the cheek, and during his whole acceptance speech was his big red lip mark from Dame Edna.
Oh, God.
She went, Martin Pakledingas.
Well, was she pronouncing it right? That's probably.
Well, I'm using the Dame Edna pronunciation.
Okay.
And Paul Tazewell.
That out of the way, can we decide who's going to get the Tony or who we think should get the Tony?
Well, okay, Charlie, tell us.
All right, I think I would have to go again with The Drowsy Chaperone. Number one, I like the costumes.
Yep.
Period. It not only has to be reasonably accurate, but it has to invoke the way we imagine a 1920s musical would look. So even if it's not 100% accurate, but it certainly convinced me, it certainly created that aura.
And also Sutton Foster has a
also, Drowsy Chaperone, like the History Boys, is the It musical this year.
Well, no, Jersey Boys. There's sort of a bifurcated It in this particular case. There's Jersey Boys. Chaperone came on strong towards the end, but if you remember, Jersey Boys held the year for about half a year.
Jersey Boys we'll have, and I guess we'll discuss this later when we get to Best Musical, but Jersey Boys is a review using non-original music.
Right. Well, I know that.
Number one. And number two, it's not nominated in this category, so that's irrelevant.
Good point. Okay, well, what about Pajama Game, though? What about the costumes in that versus...
Pajama Game also has wonderful costumes.
But
actually, this is one that Color Purple could win. Color Purple has great costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of them actually purple?
Yes.
You noticed?
Uh-huh.
Cool. Good.
There was a lot of purple in that show.
So you're looking for these things. I'll bet if you interview... I probably should have asked one of the costume designers to be honest, because sometimes you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, and then they tell you the things that were going through their minds and the way the light hits the fabric, and it's like, wow.
That's what I miss about the PBS version of the Tonys.
Yes.
When they did that so wonderfully, because they interviewed all the minor Tonys, as it were.
Right, and it was a pre-documentary, but you really got insight sometimes.
Oh, what a good word, pre-documentary.
Thank you. Thank you
really
so much.
Good.
Let's get to some post-lighting design for Play. Christopher Ackerland for Awake and Sing. Paul Gallo, 3 Days of Rain. Mark Henderson for Faith Healer. And again, Mark Henderson for The History Boys. Lighting design Play.
I can't see it. I just can't see that award. I didn't think there was any outstanding lighting this whole... I mean, Awake and Sing, possibly. I mean, there was History Boys. It depends. Are you going to do the films? What do you call
projections?
The projections. Is that may be part of lighting? I don't know.
I don't know. I would hope. I would assume not. I would assume that it's...
I know, but...
I don't think people will include the projections.
But
my choice, interestingly enough, is 3 Days of Rain.
Okay, how come?
I just feel that the lighting contributed to the overall feel of the play.
It did set moods. I think it was one of the more successful aspects of this not very successful production.
Lighting is probably the hardest thing to notice in the average play.
Yeah.
But I think it was subtle but effective enough.
Well,
okay. How about lighting design for a musical? We've got The Drowsy Chaperone, Ken Billington, Jersey Boys, Howell Binkley, Tarzan, Natasha Katz, one of his few nominations, and The Color Purple, Brian McDevitt. Jeff?
Well, I think this is where Jersey Boys shines, because it does set the mood. It takes that big iron monster, whatever that is, and it really has to create all these different atmospheres.
I agree. I mean, I thought the lighting was really part and parcel of the way the thing moved along and just set these different spaces in time. Mm-hmm. What about you, Charlie?
I would have to concur.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one I think where Jersey Boys really should win, although I think it lost the drama desk to another on that. I was pretty... Oh, no, that was the director. Sorry. It was a Des McAnuff thing. I thought he was a shoo-in, and he wasn't. And
also Tarzan's lighting design was pretty good, too.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of good effects. Tarzan had great
Tarzan's getting short shrift, but it does some really wonderful things, even though the whole thing is kind of a mess.
I mean, the whole beginning is terrific.
Yeah, the shipwreck, the drowning. We have just a little bit of time, so let's get to direction of a play. We've got Nicholas Heitner for The History Boys, Wilson Milam for Lieutenant of Inishmore, Bartlett Sher, Awake and Sing, and Daniel Sullivan, Rabbit Hole.
I would personally give it to Rabbit Hole because I really, of those plays, I enjoyed it the most by far. I think History Boys is the play that will win it. Again, partially the History Boys sweep, partially it is. Well, I shouldn't say it is well staged because from where I was sitting, I had a better view of the backstage than I did of the play itself.
But I think you might be right about History Boys taking it, and yet I have this. Now that it's receded into memory, I think a lot of the people I'm talking to really dug Rabbit Hole and are appreciating it more almost now that a few weeks have passed and how subtle and well done that was. Yeah. Although I don't know, I'm
the problem. The disadvantage that Rabbit Hole will have is that it is no longer running.
Right. Well, yeah. What about Inishmore? Do you think it has a shot, or is that just shock value?
It certainly has a shot, and I think last year, and I'm blanking out on the play, was shock value.
Oh, Pillowman.
Pillowman was shock value. I think Inishmore has a little more going for it. I certainly enjoyed it much more than Pillowman, which I believe is by the same author.
Yes, Martin McDonough.
Certainly, you watch the play, you think the author should be locked up somewhere.
Oh, well.
Well, you knew that from Beauty Queen of Lebanon.
Pretty much, with a hand in the pot. Jeff, I need your pick on direction of a play.
I loved Rabbit Hole. I'd Rabbit Hole everything.
let's leave your sex life out of this, Jeff. But anyway, very quickly, Charlie, because we have to lose you. I can ask Jeff later, but your pick and prediction for best play and best musical of the year. Tony, for Broadway.
Okay. Well, my pick for best musical would be Rabbit Hole.
Best musical?
What?
We're living in a rabbit hole. We're living in
Our child just died.
History Boys will win it.
History Boys will win for play.
Right.
And your choice would be for Rabbit Hole?
My choice would be Rabbit Hole.
And what about musical?
Musical is a little trickier. You've got some reasonably good musicals. None of them really stand
tell
out.
us you love The Wedding Singer.
What?
Tell them you love The Wedding Singer.
I actually did enjoy The Wedding Singer a lot more than I had planned to. However, I think The Drowsy Chaperone, which really, as far as story and score is concerned, really isn't that much better than The Wedding Singer if you break it down. But it is such a Valentine to the musical theater.
And it's original.
I'm sorry?
I mean, as Jeff says, unlike Jersey Boys, the score is original.
Right.
It may be in an old style, but it is an original thing. So you would choose Drowsy Chaperone.
I would choose Drowsy Chaperone, and I think Drowsy Chaperone will win.
Wow. Okay, Charlie Gross, you were a wonderful winner on this WGBB Tony special. Gotta let you go because we've got so much other stuff to do, but you've been great. Everybody catch Two on the Aisle Friday nights on Manhattan Neighborhood Network in, where else? Manhattan. Charlie, have a great one.
Thank you, Dave.
Bye, Charlie.
Hi,
Bye-bye.
Jeff.
And now, a little more music. As soon as I hit the right button. We are working our way through the Tonys. Yes, we are going through all the Tony categories tonight with a whole bunch of people on the second annual WGBB Tony Awards special. I'm Dave Lefkowitz here in the WGBB studio live with my co-host Jeff Goodman. How you doing, Jeff, again? And this... Whoops, I gotta put your mic on. Go for it.
Okay, I'm doing well, but I just also want to remind people the Tony Awards are next Sunday night at 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah, they do the whole 3 hours. CBS goes from 8 to 11, which is kind of... Or did they squeeze it into 2? No, they do 3.
I think it's 3.
3, which is cool.
But it ends promptly at 11.
Well, yeah, or else. Because got to make room for that news, you know. So, that's what we're doing. And we've got great people calling in. We just got off the phone with Charlie Gross, who is Jeff's co-host at Two on the Aisle. We have Simon Saltzman, the president of the Outer Critics Circle, calling in a bit later. We've got Jeannie Lieberman calling in. She runs a theater website called theaterscene.net. Who else is going to be with us? Gotta look through my little notes here. Well, let's go right now with a Connecticut critic. She's a theater critic for WMNR, Fine Arts Radio. She's also written theater reviews from Connecticut for Total Theater, which is a little website I know something about, TotalTheater.com. Check it out.
How do you know that one?
I'll tell a little later in the show. Okay. And she's also a voting member of the Outer Critics Circle, from which the aforementioned Simon Saltzman is the president. Her name is Rosalind Friedman, and she sees pretty much all the shows on Broadway, and she's going to weigh in on a couple of categories, too. Roz, are you with us?
I'm delighted to be with you here tonight. I don't know Jeff, but I'm glad to meet him, too.
Roz, we're old friends. Who are we kidding?
You probably recognize... I know you've seen him, but maybe not just known...
I'm literally around.
And Roz,
I just want to add that I'm a new member of the executive board and the nominating committee for Outer Critics.
Woohoo!
Congratulations.
Particularly, I've always seen all the plays, but now I've seen them in depth because I don't only see them once. I've been invited to see them twice.
Nice.
Yes, I had to be cloned to do all of this, but it's been a very exciting year.
Well, especially
so you had to sit through Color Purple twice?
Excuse me, no, I did not see the Color Purple. I thought once was quite enough. But I did see the Drowsy Chaperone twice.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And I became obsessed.
Oh.
But we'll get into that in a few minutes.
Yeah, let's do our categories first, and then if there's a little time left over, we'll talk about some of the overall bigger sui generis stuff. Book of a musical. We've got The Color Purple, written by Marcia Norman. The Drowsy Chaperone by Bob Martin and Don McKellar. Jersey Boys by Marshall Brickman and Rick Elise. And The Wedding Singer, kind of thrown in there at the end, from Chad Begalin and Tim Herlihy. So, Roz, your thoughts on Book of a Musical?
Well, the book of the musical is the spine of the show, and I have heard some of the writers speak about how important the book is, and I think this year it's very interesting because Marcia Norman, who was a wonderful writer, really had to deal with a very difficult subject matter in The Color Purple, and I don't think it was terribly successful, as some of the other shows were.
What's missing? Why doesn't The Color Purple, I mean, I think I'm speaking for all three of us, that it just doesn't quite lift off. What's missing?
Because it's not true to the book.
It's not true to the book, but it's also too much.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of
They had to add those-
compacting some of this and also giving it more of a black and white flavor. I don't mean black in the sense of black. I mean black and white in the sense that the movie was much more grim. And this is much more cheerful. It's like, oh, how let's sing and dance about all
Right,
this
Mr.
terrible
Been beating
stuff.
me, let's sing.
Well, I think they were afraid to make the first act so dark, so every time that someone would get beaten or thrown around or insulted, they'd have a happy number so that the audience would sit there and go, oh, God, why are we seeing this?
Those three women, I told you you'd do it, I told you.
Exactly. But
Okay.
there was an energy to the production, and the audience that I was in enjoyed it tremendously. There were positives about it, certainly, and some wonderful performances. Unfortunately, LaChanze, who was one of my favorite actresses, was just swamped in this show. Don't you think?
I felt that too. I mean, I thought the actresses came through, but not enough to make us care.
You know what it was? There was just too much subject matter, and then they added in that little Lion King moment in the beginning of Act 2.
Yes.
I mean, which was totally unnecessary.
Yeah, they should have saved it for Tarzan, But but then obviously the horse race in this is between Drowsy Chaperone and Jersey Boys. Where do you fall on that, Roz?
Well, it's very interesting. I really thought Jersey Boys, and I still think it's an excellent show. And Rick Elise spoke at our Outer Critics ceremonies, award ceremonies. He's one of the writers, Marshall Brickman and Rick Elise. And he really talked about how they jumped from place to place in this show, but did it in an abstract way and gave credit to the set designer. But also, I think that it's certainly a cut above the jukebox musicals generally, because of the story of Frankie Valli and how he rose to fame, etc. There's some validity here.
But don't you think that's a big directorial? It's a lot because it's so well directed.
Oh, it's wonderfully directed.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's also John Lloyd Young at our ceremonies was just delightful. He won our Best Actor in a Musical award, and he spoke so much about the thanks he gives to the critics from regional theater, particularly in New Jersey, where he did a lot of work before coming to Broadway. And that was close to my heart because, of course, we have regional theater here in Connecticut.
Okay.
And we give our own Connecticut critics.
So are you pulling for Jersey Boys, or do you think it'll win, or?
Well, I think if it wins, it certainly would not be a disappointment. I tend to feel that The Drowsy Chaperone is one of the most charming shows I have seen in many, many years.
And I love the show too.
It's just close to my heart.
Really sweet. The Jersey Boys book is pretty fabulous. That's what makes it. Aside from the direction, really special. Let's go on to original score, music and/or lyrics, specifically for the theater. The Color Purple by Brenda Russell, Aline Willis, and Stephen Bray. The Drowsy Chaperone, Lisa Lambert and Greg Morrison. The Wedding Singer, Matthew Sklar and Chad McGalen. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. And The Woman in White, Andrew Lloyd Webber and David Zippel. Gotta give them, at least a score thing for that show, which wasn't so bad. But Roz,
it wasn't that good.
Right. Roz, your thoughts on score?
Well, I think the star of The Woman in White was the lighting and the set design. That was pretty spectacular, even though there were people getting sick in the audience every night. And, that is a fact. That people actually became ill because of the motion of the set
I
design.
did, too. It got me very dizzy.
There you go. And there were people that had to leave the theater. I mean, there were women in the ladies' room over the sink.
You get dizzy from those projections?
I loved it, but I mean, I could see where that would have been a problem if you had any kind of
inner
ear problem.
Did you love the musical or the look of it, the projections? I'm not clear what.
I love the projections. I thought they were wonderful, and I sort of enjoyed The Woman in White. I didn't think it was as bad as Some did.
Me
I
neither.
mean, I
Yeah.
think the reviews were a little bit
So
heavy. I mean, I think they were out to get Andrew Lloyd Webber. That was my
Really?
personal opinion.
I thought they got him on that Jeeves show. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
And not to mention what
Which
was
I
aspects of
liked.
love. No, oh God, Jeeves,
I liked
slept
Jeeves.
through that.
It was-
What a
Excuse me?
bore. I'm saying, no, I'm just saying that I slept through Jeeves. But your thought again? What would you say they're going to pick, and what would you pick
Well, I
for
hope
score?
that they picked the Drowsy Chaperone. I picked the Drowsy Chaperone.
Yeah,
I had
that's
a
pretty cool.
nice interview with Lisa Lambert and Greg Morrison, who have worked on this since 1998.
Wow.
And I guess they've written the equivalent of 3 or 4 scores, taking songs in and putting them out, etc. It's really a very difficult project to write a score and to live with the show for a long time, to find the right song. This show just seems to do it for me.
Jeff, you agree?
I agree, but just because of its total originality, the whole show is original. And nothing else. It's not based on anything, and they had to just make up the story, make up the songs. It's actually a Broadway musical.
Yes, and I think that is so refreshing. Of course, Bob Martin is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
in it,
he
and,
co-wrote the book, and he stars in it as the man in the chair.
Yes, and he just does just a marvelous job.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, the Drowsy Chaperone would certainly be the.
one
The
to
Wedding
beat.
Singer was kind of a surprise. I
You thought it would
thought
be
it
awful.
had some charm to
I think
it.
everyone expected it to be really bad and would go, hey, this isn't too bad. It's not as bad as we thought.
Well, I think for what it is, it does well.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed The Wedding Singer. And I hear a lot of people are getting proposed to on stage.
Oh, isn't that fun?
They are at the curtain calls.
I guess
Yeah,
they're
I
doing
think
that
it's a
now
fun show.
instead of I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. That's been the reigning champion of that. Okay, we got to get
That,
to
by
it.
the way, started in Connecticut.
Oh, cool. Wait.
Yes, and I love to say that title.
Okay, yeah, I love you. Go ahead, say it. Say it one time.
Go ahead, Ron. Say
I
it.
love you, you're perfect. Now change.
Well, thank you, Roz, but we need to move on to the next category.
We are.
Revival of a play. Awake and Sing, the Clifford Odets drama. The Constant Wife, the Somerset Maugham comedy. Edward Albee's Seascape, the Edward Albee something. And Faith Healer, Brian Friel. Roz?
Okay, I have to admit I did not see The Constant Wife, which I understand was wonderful, but I was not available to
Who'd you understand that from, Roz?
It was all right. It
Well,
wasn't wonderful.
Many people really loved that show.
Really?
Said nice things about it. But in Edward Albee's Seascape, I found an excellent revival. I thought it was very well done. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the text. I'm afraid that the Faith Healer, I don't know about you guys, I fell asleep.
Wow.
I found that the monologues were very difficult. I've seen this done before, and I did not fall asleep. For some reason,
Me too.
Terry Jones just was not right for that part.
Yes. I have to say, it makes me sad when people, diss Faith Healer as a play, because I've seen it work, and it's a long play, and it's all monologues, and I would watch it, and I tell them, no, it's beautifully written. It really is a wonderful piece. And I've seen it in small, little productions. And here, there's just not enough movement, and Terry Jones isn't quite right or believable. Ian McDermott is fabulous, but there's something
He
missing.
really lit up the stage, and I wasn't familiar with his work, and I thought it was excellent.
So, Jeff, what's your revival pick?
I happen to have loved Seascape also.
Oh,
I think it's a great show. I thought it was a brilliant revival. I thought it was well directed. I thought the sets and costumes were perfect.
I'm going to give it to Awake and Sing. Just
Well, Awake
because
and Sing is my choice.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't get to that point because
Sorry.
I was working my way through the other shows.
Working my way to... Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Well, yeah, tell us a little more about why Awake and Sing.
Well, we knew, my husband and I knew Morris Karnowski. We met him here in Connecticut when he was at the American Shakespeare Theater in Stratford, and he was playing the leads, and we got to know him and his wonderful wife, who passed away last year. That's Phoebe Brand. They were the original members of the company for the group theater. And they knew all about Clifford Odets, and they told us story after story about all the people and how this group came together, and Harold Clurman. And so it seemed very live to us. And there's a lake here in Trumbull where I live, and it's called Pinewood Lake. In those days it was called Pine something else. But anyway, the group theater came for a summer there and stayed in little cottages around the lake. And they had a theater, and the theater is still there. It's not really used at the clubhouse. but there's a theater in the clubhouse.
Okay.
And the actors all got together and did their stage exercises there, their theater exercises.
Mm-hmm.
And so this play is very close to my heart.
Well, that's not quite fair to the other. I mean, if you're letting
Well, it
all
is
that.
I had a really good experience with lizards. That's why I like Seascape.
Okay. I go on to
I had a
say
pet
that
lizard
when I
and
went
so
to
talked
see
to
the
me.
play,
Mhm.
when I went to see this play, Awake and Sing, I felt that it was done with great authenticity.
Ooh.
It's a meaty play. You feel like you're seeing a complete family. Every actor was excellent and it was wonderful. The direction was very interesting. I must admit, I saw this in preview, and when the stage set began to lift, I thought it was a mistake. I thought there might be something wrong
We
with
were
the
talking
set.
about that before.
Yeah.
Until I realized what Bartlett Sher was trying to do here.
And did it work for you when you realized that?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yes, it
Cool.
did.
Okay, Roz, I'm afraid we've got to move on to some other stuff, but I want to just tell people when they can hear you on WMNR radio.
Oh, thank you. I'm on Tuesday and Thursday at 5:55 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and Saturday and Sundays at noon.
Great. And good luck with your executorship. What was it for the Outer Critic Circle? Forgive me for not.
I'm on the
nominating
executive
committee.
board,
Yeah.
which is also the nominating committee. So we have done our work this year. We are already beginning the new season. Of course, new plays are opening every day.
Of course.
So you nominating Tarzan or no?
That's right, because
Well,
it
that's
falls
the
into the
next
next
year.
Right,
That's
exactly.
the next year.
Okay, Roz, great to talk to you. Thank you so much for being part of the GBB Tony special.
Thank you very much.
You
It was
got it.
nice to speak to both of you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Rose. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was Roz Friedman from Connecticut. We've had, let's see, a couple of critics on already. Let's curve the field a little bit and talk to someone who is a critic, but is also better known as a playwright, and a very good one. And I say this not just because I know him and he's a friend and stuff like that.
And wasn't he on last week?
He was on. As a matter of fact, that last week I talked to Jeff Sweet, who's the author of The Value of Names and Porch and American Enterprise, that was probably his best-known off-Broadway work, although it looks like he'll start having some more stuff done locally quite soon. Anyway, we talked about a bunch of stuff, and towards the end of the interview, I asked him about some of the major categories of this year's Tony Awards and nominations. So here, from last week, for about 10 minutes, is Jeffrey Sweet weighing in on the Tonys. Do you still see most of the Broadway and off-Broadway shows?
Well, I see all the Broadway shows because I'm on the Council of the Dramatists Guild, which makes me a Tony voter.
Oh, cool.
So I see all the Broadway shows. I get to see a reasonable amount of off-Broadway as well. And I'm also writing a blog for Backstage's online. So between all of these different affiliations, I usually can get in to see whatever I want to see, and I see a fair amount of stuff.
Well, as a Tony voter,
Yeah.
what you voting for this year?
Oh, well, I have to tell you that in my opinion, this has been a kind of a doggy year.
Okay.
You know, when you think like last year, we had 4 really viable musicals for Best Musical. You know, there were 4 shows that are still running.
Yeah.
You know, we had 4 musicals that were hits in one season. Wow, we hadn't had anything like that since the early 60s.
And they were pretty much worthy hits. I mean, Spamalot's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is delightful.
Yeah.
Spelling Bee, what was the fourth?
And Light in the Piazza.
Well, okay. Yeah.
You know, and all 4 of them are hits. And it was delightful, and they all had their own particular strengths, but you had to parse out which you thought had a better score and which you thought had a better book and which was overall a better production and so forth. But it was really a contest.
But this year, actually, we have 4 musicals that may be commercial hits, if not critical ones. If you think about the 4 that are nominated, there's a possibility there.
Yeah, I mean, Jersey Boys is going to make its money back, obviously.
Drowsy Chaperone is selling well because the critics loved it, and Color Purple is selling well because of Oprah.
Yeah, so you got possibly 3 hits there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Wedding Singer ekes through as well, because it makes its audience happy. My theory is that Wedding Singer is the show that you go to see if you can't get into Jersey Boys. They're both celebrations of Jersey culture.
And if you're coming through the tunnel, on the weekend with your parents, that's, yeah. But you sound less excited about that crop.
I'm not terribly happy about the scores of any of them. I'm I'm sitting there. I mean, there's some lyrics that I like in Drowsy Chaperone, but I'm not nuts about the music in that, and I'm not. Of course, the Jersey Boys doesn't have an original score,
right.
So they've nominated the Andrew Lloyd Webber, David Zippel score for Woman in White. I was disappointed in that. I wanted to like it more, but
yeah, I don't think there is a score this year that's really knocked anybody. I mean, as much as people, and I had a great time at Drowsy Chaperone, I can't say that I came out of there like from an Irving Berlin musical going, oh yeah, you know, the score is just part and parcel. You know,
it's a very good extended review sketch. Bob Martin is from the Toronto company of Second City, and since I'm a big Second City fan, I'm delighted for that. And he also co-wrote a TV series I love called Slings and Arrows, which is the best series I've ever seen about the theater, which is a parody of the Stratford Stratford Festival up in Ontario. They've been running it on the Sundance Channel, and very, very funny show.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I'm a fan of his, and I'm a fan of the show, The Drowsy Chaperone. But on some level, I'm a little disappointed because this should have been an engaging also-ran. It should not be, you know, the favorite. This is a show that's like so many shows that have been nominated or won in the past few years, makes fun of musicals. And we've had so many musicals that make fun of musicals over the past few years, and not very many really good original musicals, you know, musicals that take themselves seriously. One of the things that was pleasing about Light in the Piazza was that it didn't mock the form. Spam-A-Lot mocked the form, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels mocked the form, Spelling Bee mocked the form. You know, they were
Avenue Q mocks as well. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Avenue Q as well.
Avenue Q, absolutely. And Urinetown, and, you know, musical's a musical.
Now, most of these musicals I really liked, I mean, I have to say. But
yeah, I think Urinetown has got a pretty tough underneath. It's actually saying something very seriously political. And that show is really much tougher than an affectionate parody of musicals. It's about how we distract ourselves with amusements and pay no attention. And we are under the illusion that because we support the right culture that we're doing something.
Right.
You know, so there's underneath it, it's actually a rather tough show with some unpleasant things. You know, we people who've seen the show forget that, yes, the corporate bad guys, you know, die. But in the epilogue, we discover that
nobody has enough fresh water.
Well, not only that, she dies too. So there's precious little comfort in there for anybody of any political persuasion in that show. It's a very tough little show.
Well, I mean, at the very end, the lead character holds up a book of Malthus and says, "Read this." I mean, that's Brecht right there.
Malthus, yes.
Well, we have only very, very little time left, unfortunately. So I want to ask very quickly about the plays of this year, and both Broadway and off, and your thoughts.
Well, I will end up voting for History Boys because it's consistently witty and entertaining, and God knows I enjoyed it, and I've been following the guys from Beyond the Fringe, ever since those days. I'm not over the moon about the play because I don't quite believe it. I enjoyed it, but I don't quite believe it. I don't believe that because this guy comes in that he all of a sudden turns everything around in the school because they succumb to his cynicism.
Yeah, for me, the plays were actually weaker than the musicals. And I like Rabbit Hole, though.
Well, I liked most of Rabbit Hole. I thought that it repeated its effects a little bit. I would have cut the first scene in the second act and taken out the intermission and played it as a 90-minute one act. And I think that's just my sort of meatball surgery. But every scene was about the ghost of the kid in the room and how it was affecting everybody. And how many times can you say we're devastated, or dramatize that? That said, I liked it a lot. I just was.
I mean, God forbid you should ever have to get over the loss of a. I imagine that's what life is for a couple of years after you. Everything is the kid in the room.
The needs of drama are different than the needs of life. It took all evening to do what Shakespeare did brilliantly with one speech in King John when Constance talks about grief walking up and down with her in the corridors, the death of her son. I still think it was a darn good play, and I was glad it was on this season. Actually, the play that I was surprised by, because I didn't expect to care much for it at all, was Festin, which I saw late in its run.
Ooh.
And maybe when it opened, they hadn't found their ensemble. But 4 weeks in, when I saw it, I thought it was just riveting, and I thought that the performances were
wow.
sensational. I thought that Larry Brigman was absolutely cheated of a nomination he should have gotten. I thought that Michael Hayden was about as good as I've ever seen him. I thought that people absolutely misunderstood what Ali McGraw had been directed to do. They say that she was giving an unconvincing performance. She's playing the part of a woman who is trying to ignore the fact
right.
that she's been living with a monster for 30 years and has done nothing about it. So the artificiality is the part. So I sat there with a friend of mine, and we were both dumbstruck by what impact it had on us. My agent, who teaches at a university, sent some of her students to see it, and they all came back, and that was their favorite show of the season. So I think it got kind of a bum's rush. I think it's a much more interesting play, and I certainly would have put it up if I'd been on the nominating committee. That would have been one of the ones that I nominated over.
Over Well or whatever else got.
Well, which is
that's a Lisa Kron play about her mom.
Yeah,
or sort of about her mom, meta-theatrically.
Yeah, which
as she said 10,000 times.
Of it, but I thought that the best parts of it were indeed the mom, and that the other stuff would tend to be either clumsy or a little cute. And Lieutenant of Inishmore, I thought it was just wonderfully crafted, but it made something beautifully that I just didn't care for. I think that this is Martin McDonagh. His guiding aesthetic is, what can I do to get at the audience? How can I make them squirm, or how can I make them? And he's done this in play after play after play, and I find that slightly juvenile.
Well, he is. When he was writing these things, he was in his early 20s.
Yeah. I know, and this is very obviously sort of, okay, I'm going to try to do on stage what Quentin Tarantino did in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Just as Lonesome West was his response to True West and American Buffalo. And on some level, as well done and as well crafted as it is, and I think Inishmore on some level is one of the best crafted plays he's done. The mock disemboweled people on stage and all the blood packs that had exploded and all the rest of it. I thought that really he ultimately was not making a point so much as jolting the bejesus out of the audience. I felt very similar about The Pillowman, although The Pillowman I found actively distasteful. I thought it pretended to be about something and really was only about getting a rise out of the audience. I know a lot of people who don't agree with that, and that's fine. That's why we have conversations, But I'm not a part of his.
Okay.
But sometimes writers develop. I remember that in the early days that Richard Greenberg's plays were very superficially clever and glib, and I was not a big fan. And then he wrote Eastern Standard, and that seemed to signal a transition. And then after that, he wrote 4 or 5 plays that I just think are glorious, culminating in Take Me Out. So I'm, even when he doesn't succeed, I'm always eager to go to see another Greenberg play, because between that and The American Plan and a few of his other plays, some of those plays are just gorgeous.
Well, that was the surprising thing about Rabbit Hole from David Lindsay Bear. I mean, his other plays were these kind of audience-baiting, goofy, weird, sort of sick trailer trash fantasy things where his trademark was becoming...
what outrageous thing can I do now?
Yeah. And
yes, and I think that represents an advance for him. It was like...
it was a leap.
Nikki Silver had a play... it was done at the Vineyard, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was a real revelation from him. It was such a break in what he had done before. It got creamed by the critics, but I went with a friend who joined me reluctantly, because she was not a Nikki Silver fan either. And at the intermission, we looked at each other and said, "Am I nuts, or is this really good?" And we were, tremendously impressed by it, tremendously moved by it. What he had suddenly done was found a point of empathetic contact with his own characters. Rather than making fun of people's pain and downfall and embarrassments, he actually, you got a feeling that he cared about the characters for the first time. The wisdom had suddenly arrived. And that once wisdom arrives, you never go back to writing juvenile stuff. Easy jokes about people's infirmities.
Well, I still like easy jokes about infirmities, so I still have that juvenile streak. But I'm thrilled. Jeffrey Sweet has been with us sharing his wisdom and his theater experience, and I want to wish you best of luck.
Well, thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
And it was our pleasure to have Jeffrey Sweet on the WGBB Tony special. Jeff Goodman wants to say...
Hi. Drama.
That's right. We have another caller coming in. Eva Heinemann will be talking to us about her Tony experiences, but we have to do some business first. So stick around. We have 2 more hours of the WGBB Tony special. Please don't go away. Welcome back to the second annual WGBB Tony Awards special on AM 1240 WGBB Freeport. Also, by the way, if you're driving along and maybe it's getting staticky or you're coming home and you may live in an area where the station doesn't come in so well, you know that you can listen to us on the internet at AM 1240 WGBB.com. Live streaming audio, AM 1240 WGBB.com. I'm Dave Lefkowitz here with you until midnight, hosting the Tony special. If you know my voice or that name, and hopefully you do, it's because my show Dave's Gone By has been airing on this station since October 2002. And that's an hour of humor and talk radio, interviews, music, all sorts of stuff. It's a little different every week. And sometimes we do theater stuff. We'll have playwrights on, or critics I'll talk to a lot, and I'll sometimes play show music, all sorts of things. Well, this is all theater. We've been here since 9. We're here till midnight with a Tony special. We just talked to playwright Jeffrey Sweet, giving his thoughts on some of the big shows of the year on Broadway. We talked before to Ros Friedman and Charlie Gross. And in the studio with us, we have cable TV theater show host, how to get that out properly, Jeff Goodman.
I prefer the word superstar.
Oh, Jeff Goodman. So, well, you already have a fan. This is amazing. I'm on the air for nobody called, nobody cares. Jeff Goodman's on the air for an hour doing the Tony show, and we got a call from Pat of Levittown. So, Pat, thanks for listening. Keep it here until midnight. Pat says she loves you, Jeff.
Oh, well, I love her.
Oh, see, keep listening, everybody, because we have more great guests.
Because I love you all.
There you go.
And call in.
No,
can they call it? Oh, no, not tonight?
They can call in, but time-wise, it'll be a little bit. If you hear music playing, call in and tell us how much you love us, and how much you love the theater, and tell us what show you loved this year most of all. But we've got to get to our next phone guest, and by the way, stick around, because at 10:30, we're calling Danny Burstein, Tony-nominated actor, for The Drowsy Chaperone.
We're so excited.
I am,
too.
I mean, it's so funny in the show, so it's doubly exciting to get not only...
Maybe he'll do one of his in 1,000 voices.
Yeah, I just want him to say what, the way he says,
what?
Isn't that great?
I want to ask him about the cats. That's
Okay.
all I want to ask him about.
Well, before all that, though, let's not forget that we have
this
a wonderful
is one of my
guest now.
favorite people.
Oh, really? Why, Jeff?
I love Eva.
Eva Heinemann. And why do you love Eva Heinemann?
Because she's one of those people that you meet in the theater, that she's a character, and she's just so nice.
Yeah.
You can't help but love Eva Heinemann.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Eva, also, like you, has a cable TV show.
As a matter of fact, hers is on just before us, I believe.
So, yeah, we'll ask her. It's called High Drama on Manhattan Cable. Eva, are you with us?
Yes, I am. And Jeff, I love you, too.
I love you, Eva.
And I'm glad you said it's nice, but some people don't think I'm so nice.
Okay, well, here's the deal. Most of the other critics who are calling in tonight are weighing in on the different categories of the Tony Awards, what they think will win and what they really hope will win. And I was going to ask Eva to do that too, but she stopped me short before I even got started in asking her by saying that she had attended the big cocktail party for all the Tony nominees and also for the press to meet and greet and do their interviews and stuff. So I thought, oh, great, you can tell all these anecdotes and what did they say and how was it. Except you had a really horrible experience. So, Eva, the mic is yours, or at least the telephone is. Tell us, what was this? It was
I'm
the Tony
dying to hear
party.
this.
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, please bring back Keith Sherman as a press agent for the Tony Awards. Please. At least they understand theater. These initial press agents, like PMK, HBH, I don't know who the hell they are. They're ridiculous.
Well, start at the beginning.
I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for costing me all future sponsorship here. Okay.
These are the opinions of Eva Heinemann and not anyone else's.
Right, exactly. So you went to the Tony cocktail party and...
It's not a cocktail party. It's in the afternoon. It's called a Meet the Press. It's Meet the Press nomination. The nominators meet the press.
Was Tim Russell there?
At the View at the Marriott Marquis. And they do this every year. And last year, these same people with my same credentials let me go up with all the rest of the people, to the View, to the top. And this happened with Keith Sherman, where all of a sudden I was persona non grata, but they would let me go by the elevators by the View, and I would do my interviewing there, because all the press agents know me, the actors, everyone knows me. I've been doing this for 11 years, for God's sake.
That's right, your show has been on the air on Manhattan Neighborhood Network for 11 years.
Yeah, right before Two on the Aisle.
Well, at least it wasn't always, but it is now. Yeah.
It is now.
Okay.
So,
it's a great double feature.
And you're... Yeah.
Yes. And I emailed them telling them that I was going to go do what I used to do with Keith Sherman, which is, go by the elevators and grab interviewers as I can. If they want, if they say no, fine, no problem.
Well, Eva, who are some of the people that you have interviewed on the fly in years
past? Who have you
grabbed,
Eva?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was just thinking of Alan Bates. I got Alan Bates.
Okay.
And I've gotten Lauren Bacall in the past. I mean, I've gotten great people. I mean, Richard Griffith, for God's sake, talked to me for like an hour. He is so cool.
Who was that?
Richard. Oh, that was this year. Richard Griffith.
This year.
Oh, did you hear what he did on the 29th of May?
What?
No.
He stopped the show. Someone's cell phone. Yeah, someone's cell phone rang. He hates that. He stopped the show.
Yeah.
And he scolded the people. He goes, now, the stage manager told you to please turn off your cell phone. We told you it was illegal in New York State. Now, turn off your cell phone. And he stopped. He goes, we'll start it again. And he did. And in England, he actually got people thrown out of the theater for having their cell phone on.
Good for him.
He hates it.
Oh, man. If I tell you, I think it was not Faith Healer. There was one that was really a very quiet show that was interrupted incessantly by cell phones when I went to see it. It was almost, literally, people were in a rage around this person whose phone kept ringing and ringing. But Eva, we're taking away from your story.
I'm sorry, Eva.
So when you were interviewing Richard...
I just got to tell a quick theater rage story on my part. I was at Sweeney Todd matinee, and these women behind me with a plastic bag. They weren't even opening candy. They were just deliberately rattling a plastic bag. I actually physically grabbed the plastic bag with them and almost hit them over the head with it.
You slap them, Eva. You're so nice.
Oh, I've done such similar things. I don't have time to get into them, but I've been rather nasty to people who were just noisy. But Eva.
Well, they talk to each other.
So anyway, I emailed PMH, whatever the heck they're, the initial.
PMK, yeah.
I emailed them and told them what I was going to do. I said, if that's a problem, let me know. They didn't let me know. I get there, my cameraman, Barry Lieberman, was there. Someone approaches me. I tell them what I'm going to do. They don't say anything. They say, fine, no problem. Then I talked to Mark Ruffalo and Pablo Schreiber from Awake and Sing.
Wow.
And Mark and I are discussing Clifford Odets because I was really upset because Clifford Odets named names and I thought he was a pig and that his story, he's a hypocritical bastard because he doesn't believe what he writes. But then Mark actually took away my disillusionment and gave me my illusionment back because apparently Clifford Odets said to the House of Un-American Activities, excuse me.
Eva, please.
Darn you. But he said, F you to the, I'm just quoting Mark Ruffalo. He said the same thing. That,
that's going to cost you, Eva.
To the House of Un-American Activities. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
And maybe that's why I got into trouble, too.
I guess so.
So apparently Clifford Odets only named people who already said they'd been named. He was proud to be a communist, and he stood up for himself, and I was so happy. So we were talking about communism and socialism and all this other stuff, and then he went upstairs, and the next thing I know, a nasty old cop is in my face saying, "Pack up and go."
No.
Excuse me? I say. And they say, "The clients want you to go." I go, "What clients?" And he wouldn't, and they were the PMH people at the table, and he wouldn't even let me approach them. I couldn't even go up to them. They didn't have the courtesy to even talk to me or anything. And I'm like, what's going on here? And they were talking about my stupid credentials, which were fine last year, but now for some reason this year, who knows what the problem is.
Well,
I think I'm a communist.
Eva, you call them up and you quote Clifford Odets to them.
That's right. Yeah, awaken, and shriek.
Awaken curse.
But why didn't you just signal the PMK people and say, "Hey, what's going on here"?
Well, I did.
Aren't they the people who wanted to leave?
And they were, afraid to approach me, I guess. Like I said, I don't know, maybe they thought I was a communist. I don't know.
I don't think that mattered. Even you need to take a breath on this. I mean, I know you're upset. I know you want to vent on this. But what happened when the policeman showed up?
The police showed up?
No, that's what she said. A cop was one policeman. Was he a cop from the street or just from wandering around the? Oh, okay, yeah.
No, he was.
So
You got attacked by the Marriott police.
But the
man.
thing is this. This is the thing. With T. Sherman, when the security guard, this was not a cop, but a security guard approached me, T. Sherman said, "No, leave her alone, it's okay."
Huh.
He shooed the security guard away and protected me, while these people, they attacked me with the cop.
Well, Eva, you just got to tell these people who you are. They just don't know who you are.
Well, they shouldn't know. She sent an email. She said who she was. And what has been, I guess, at the point the police showed up, you left.
It wasn't the police. It was the Marriott
police.
No, it was
guardman.
a policeman. It was an actual policeman, a scary policeman with a gun.
Oh, this New York City police were there to escort you out?
Yeah.
Really?
Give a flower to the big fat cop. He takes his club and he beats me up.
Sorry, I just had to do that.
It's true, though.
But by the way, I wanted to ask this when I was talking to you the other day. Did they keep the camera rolling? Was your cameraman taking any of this?
Unfortunately, he wasn't, because we had finished our interview, so we stopped the interview. We were talking about, wasn't that cool, Mark Ruffalo? The thing is, he kept talking to me. I had to shoo him away because, we were having such an interesting conversation.
So what are you going
He's a really
to...
intelligent actor. I really like him.
Well, what are you going to do, though, about...
Eva, here he's single.
Is he really? Oh, I don't know.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. No, but so now that you left, they did not beat you up, but they had a menacing policeman.
Are you allowed back in the Marriott
anymore? It was a humiliating situation.
Yeah, and you're a theater professional, and I gave them plenty of opportunities to deal directly with me. All they had to do, if I was upsetting them or they didn't like me or for whatever reason,
who were you upsetting?
All they had to do was say, "Excuse me, this isn't working. Do you mind leaving?" And I would have gone.
Well,
they
played.
Are you sure that that's who called the police on you?
Yes.
In other words, it wouldn't have been just the hotel doing it. It would have been PMK.
No, they said.
Someone said there's a little woman in the elevator lobby
with a cameraman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't anyone else filming there?
They were all filming upstairs.
Oh, you were downstairs on the entrance to the
Maybe they thought you were a security risk. Maybe you were filming.
But how come you weren't allowed to go upstairs?
I don't know why this year I was not allowed. Maybe because, Julia Roberts, David Schwimmer, even though they weren't there, who knows? I guess Harry Potter.
Did you even want to talk to Julia Roberts, really?
Well, I like her.
I talked to her.
And she thinks the world of you.
Yeah, exactly.
She's a pretty woman.
So, but Eva, what are you going to do aside from going on the GBB Tony show and saying naughty things? What are you going to do? Are you writing letters? What are you doing?
Sue him. Sue him. I say sue him.
Well, no, really.
No, what I was going to do was, because I'm a nice person, and I know everyone's busy with the Tony Awards right now, and I don't want to bother people because they're busy with the Tony Awards. I'm going to write to Jed Bernstein, and I'm going to write to Sandra Gilman. I'm going to let them know what happened.
Well, I thought Jed was leaving office, imminently. He's the head of the League of American Theaters and Producers. And he's stepping down, I thought, at the very end of the season. So you better get him quick. And Sandra Gilman is what? She's, who is she?
She's the head of the American Theater Wings now.
Right, okay, so yeah, they're the folks who co-produce the Tony Awards. I guess we should have prefaced it with that. Well, I wish you luck with...
Oh, and Eva, I have to have you get on my little problem, too. I have to tell you that a little problem I have.
Off the air.
Off the air.
Unless you want to talk about it
I want Hound Dog Eva on my case. You get after him. You go, girl.
But I do want to put in a plug for the Drowsy Chaperone, because I do love that show so much.
Did you talk to anyone from the Drowsy Chaperone?
All of them.
Who'd you talk to?
Oh, well, Eva, tell your story about when you saw the Drowsy Chaperone the first time.
Oh, do I have time to tell this?
Make it quickly.
Okay, because it's a wonderful story. The National Alliance of Musical Theaters in September put on 45-minute versions of musicals to shop around to the rest of the country. And they had the Drowsy Chaperone. And you're only allowed 45 minutes. But the audience loved it so much that we actually rioted. They had to come in and quell us because we wanted to see the whole thing. We didn't want them to leave. We loved it so much.
Eva, you're a troublemaker. You know?
So you've been arrested and quelled.
That's right. Well, I'm afraid we have to quell you now because we've got to move on with the show, but thank you for calling in.
And we love you, Eva.
I'm sorry you had that bad experience. But I hope you have many, many better Tony and theater experiences in the years to come. When again can people watch High Drama on Manhattan Cable?
Yes, on Channel 57, Time Warner, RCN Channel 85, streaming www.mnn.org. 7:30 to 8 p.m. is High Drama, 8 to 8:30, 2 on the aisle.
You have that down. I don't even know it that well.
Well, Eva...
When am I on again?
You're on after Eva.
8:30.
8:30 for every other Friday, is that it?
8 to 8:30 every other Friday.
It's like a little theater block. It's
Our
really
next
cool.
show will be June 2nd. And you can hear the Mark Ruffalo interview. I've got the Mark Ruffalo interview on my show June 2nd.
So fans of Awake and Sing, go see or watch Eva Heinemann's show on June 2nd.
And see how she got arrested.
That's right.
The interview that got her almost arrested.
Almost.
The indignity of it all.
Yes.
It truly is.
Well, thank you for sharing your indignancy with us.
And we love you.
I coined the word there. And yes, we love you, Eva. And
she's gross indignancy.
3 degrees of it.
Eva, have a great
I got
one.
the 3rd degree on it.
There you go.
Happy Tonys.
Bye.
Happy Tony.
Bye-bye.
Harpo, I done warned you about this. I'm gonna beat you clean to death. Get my milk. You throw your food on the floor, you eat it off the floor, you little pig. You get nothing from me, gal. And the next one of you says a word, get tied to the fence post. Bedrooms upstairs.
I say a prayer.
Seems like it's bad real hot, like it's about to. For you got to rub his feet with some cinnamon oil. Save it with the hope it's understood that you better not cut him or he beats you good. If you think hard work's been dogging you before, get ready for the big dog.
And we are getting ready for the big dog. More dogs, more music, more interviews on the WGBB Tony Awards special.
A Taste of the Color Purple.
Yeah, that was The Color Purple.
Wasn't so good, was it?
Well, it was kind of a bouncy, one of the more numbers that gets your attention. You know, when he says bedrooms upstairs, that sounds a chill. Of the Kingsley Leggs singing that, and LaShawne's, of course, the co-star there. Let's hear a little bit more Broadway music. Or actually, no, let's go for some...
As you talk about some Tony Awards.
Yeah, we will do that. We've got Iris Dorbian coming up in just a moment to do some of the featured actor and actress categories.
Ooh, good.
But let's hear, okay. Let's hear an off-Broadway song from a show called Thrill Me.
Ooh, good.
Go figure, they made a musical out of the story of Leopold and Loeb. I guess they can do, if they can do James Joyce's The Dead, that basically took
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, exactly. So Leopold and Loeb, two killer, sort of gay young men who loved each other in a very sick way and tried to get away with a perfect crime. And they did a chamber musical of it, which I think was nominated for a couple of the, Broadway only, the Tonys only deal with Broadway. But I think the Outer Critics Circle recognized
And
Thrill Me
also,
for a
I
few
think
things.
Trauma Desk.
Trauma Desk may have, too. So let's hear, I have some trouble sometimes with the lyrics of the show, but it seems kind of interesting to me. Here's a number called Nothing Like a Fire, sung by Stephen Dolgenoff and Doug Krieger.
Thrill me. Look at it smolder. It's breathtaking. And you know what a little misdemeanor does for me, babe. There's nothing like a warm, romantic fire to put me in the proper frame of mind. There's nothing like a roaring, raging fire to help me unwind. There's nothing like the sound of crackling embers to calm me when my pulse begins to race. There's nothing like the glow of sizzling embers to brighten your face. Feel the heat intensify, watch the sparks begin to fly, watch the smoke fill up the sky, straight to the stars. There's nothing like the sight of something burning to soothe me with a hot, seductive light. There's nothing like the smell of something burning to start to ignite my desire. There's nothing like a fire. Feel the heat intensify. Watch the sparks begin to fly. Watch the smoke fill up the sky, clouding the night.
And we are clouding the night with the fires of nominations.
Oh, I really like that.
Yeah, that's a pretty song. I mean, not all of it is quite as intriguing, but that's a nice number from the off-Broadway show Thrill Me. No longer playing, but it ran for a bit. The Leopold and Loeb story. We have with us on the phone Iris Dorbian. She is the editor-in-chief of Stage Directions magazine, and she's going to talk with us about the featured actor and actress categories. Hi, Iris. How you doing?
Hi, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Hi, Iris.
And Jeff Goodman is with me. I'm sorry.
Hi, how are you? Hi, and really, I had a chance to listen to the score for Thrill Me, and I really enjoyed it very much. Enjoyably dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, like, Lestat, which is just...
Not enjoyably dark.
Not enjoyably anything. Featured actor in a play. We've got Samuel Barnett, the History Boys. Actually, Jeff, can you read these? My voice is great.
Sure. We have, Dom... Oh, sure, give me the top one. Dom Hall?
Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall Gleeson for the Lieutenant of Inishmore. Ian McDormand for the Faith Healer. Mark Ruffalo for Awaken Sing. And Pablo Schreiber for Awaken Sing.
Iris?
Iris, discuss.
Yes. Okay, who do I think?
Who do you think
and why?
Isn't Ian McDermott also?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be between Samuel Barnett and Ian McDermott.
Okay.
I think it's between them.
I think I agree. Do you think that History Boys will give it the push for Samuel Barnett?
I mean, the Drama Desk gave it to Samuel Barnett, but that's only because Ian McDermott. I don't think he was nominated, was he?
No, it didn't open. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I think maybe Ian McDermott might have a push just because he's more well known.
And he gives such a brilliant performance.
Yeah, he is quite wonderful. And Samuel Barnett, it gives a very memorable turn, as the history boy who is whose life is destroyed.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to featured actress in a play. Sorry, I have to rush through these, but we're a little time crunched. Tyne Daly in Rabbit Hole, Frances de la Tour, The History Boys, Jane Hudeshell Well, Alison Pill, The Lieutenant of Inishmore, and Zoe Wanamaker, Awake and Sing.
Okay. I thought that Jane Goodeshell?
Hudeshell.
Howdy Shell, I think.
Howdy Shell. I think she's wonderful in as the mother in Well, but I think it's going to be Frances de la Tour.
I agree.
Absolutely. I think she is extremely...
Although I think there's a groundswell for Zoe Wanamaker, too.
Well, because that's a lead role.
Yeah.
She's in the wrong category.
And people like her.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Frances de la Tour. I really do.
And I don't think she played...
She was bad, but I have my whole problem with History Boys coming to Broadway, opening for 6 weeks, and then closing, just to win the Tony before the movie comes out.
Well...
I just think it's a pre-movie.
Well, you know something? I'll tell you. I have seen so much crap this past year, I don't mind.
This is true.
Does a short tour of duty. It was a pleasure seeing this beautiful... production.
It was a short tour of duty.
Don't you want to see Lennon again?
I liked Lennon.
Not in my life.
Okay, we're with Iris Dorbian on the WGBB Tony special. We're moving on to featured actor in a musical.
Yeah, In My Life didn't get set. That was surprising.
Well, it was an interesting set.
It was weird.
Danny Burstein, who's going to be on the phone in a couple of minutes, which is one of the reasons I got to...
So we love him.
Yeah, we do, right. Win, Danny, for Drowsy Chaperone. Jim Dale, Three Penny Opera. Brandon Victor Dixon, The Color Purple. Manuel Feliciano for Sweeney Todd. And Christian Huff, Jersey Boys. I'm so glad he got nominated. He was terrific.
Okay, wait. Okay, that's... Okay, who did you mention before Jim Dale?
Danny Burstein. Yay.
Okay,
And Brandon Victor Dixon, Color Purple. I thought you would have these in front of you, Iris. Preparation.
Okay. I think it could be Jim Dale just because it's Jim Dale.
Right.
I wouldn't mind if it's Christian Huff.
Yes. Aside from Danny Burstein, of course.
But see, he's my choice. I thought he was so good in that role.
Yeah, I mean, it was just...
And he's been around for quite a while, too.
If Drowsy does a real sweep, he could get swept along, and the judge...
Uh-oh. Iris? I think I hate cell phones!
We have temporarily lost Iris.
Oh, Iris, I'm afraid we can't get you back because I've got to go call Danny Burstein now and get him on the phone.
Ooh, because he's going to win for featured actors.
Yes. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
This is not a Verizon commercial.
Okay. Iris, one last category.
Featured actress in a musical.
Read them.
Carolee Carmela for Lestat, Felicia P. Fields for Color Purple, Megan Lawrence for The Pajama Game, Beth Level for The Drowsy Chaperone. She is The Drowsy Chaperone. Yeah. And Elizabeth Withers Mendez for The Color Purple.
All right. The Color Purple women cancel each other out. Beth Lavelle, The Drowsy Chaperone.
Really?
Yeah,
Did you think she was that funny? Yeah.
I kind of agree with Dave that I didn't think she was as funny as she could have been. But
really? I thought she was a piss.
I thought she was good, but I think it's about time we give something to Carolee Carmela too, which I think.
Yeah, but the problem is that she's in a major bomb.
Well, yeah,
it's closed.
She was in a show that was so reviled. I mean, she was the only good thing in that show, and unfortunately, she'll suffer.
And she had a wonderful moment though when she pounces on that guy. The whole audience was able to laugh finally in that one little moment,
Yeah, but unfortunately, she was in that dog of a show.
And then they cried after they scored the ticket price.
So, Iris, your favorite show of the season? Favorite play? All out of all of them.
So we'll put her down for Lennon.
No, History Boys is my favorite.
History Boys really is your favorite.
Really?
Favorite musical?
Oh.
Grey Gardens? No. Or Drowsy?
I mean, I guess I'm torn between Jersey Boys because I thought it was a very good production, but it's still a jukebox musical. And also Drowsy Chaperone. I really enjoyed Drowsy Chaperone. I thought it was just a charming Valentine to musical theater.
Absolutely.
And how'd you like Tarzan?
Oh, I just reviewed it. Oh, my God.
Apes on Bungee. Come on.
What a misfire. What a misfire.
Really?
I like when the plant feels up Jane. Remember that?
Yeah, that was kind of...
Fighter.
My whole review of this whole thing is like, humans really do ruin everything. As soon as they show up in that show, it just goes so totally wrong.
Well, I like the Cirque du Soleil aspect of the first act, the flying gorillas.
Yeah. The gorillas were great, and the shipwreck was fantastic.
But then when they start talking, then the show is ruined.
Well, I'm afraid we have to stop talking now. Iris, it's been great having you, as always. People can pick up a copy of Stage Directions magazine. Is it on newsstands, or do they have to subscribe, or...?
Limited newsstand distribution. You can get it at Borders, Universal News, Barnes & Nobles, and also through subscription. It's www.stage-directions.com.
Well, thank you, Iris, for pointing us to Stage Directions. Have a great one. Happy Tony. Bye-bye.
And there went her cell phone.
From, I was going to say Whistle Down the Wind, but no, that of course was from Woman in White, the London cast recording. I don't think they ever did, or will do, a U.S. cast recording of that show. It was,
well, because it basically came with most of the London cast.
Yeah, except you never got to see them.
That's right.
And Michael Ball was either out, or Maria Friedman was out for for legitimate reasons, but all the critics never got to see both of them together.
I did.
Oh, okay, you did, Jeff. But anyway, let's talk about a different show, a show that is still running, a show that
is much better.
Is much better, is doing Knockwood much better, that people seem to have really taken to their hearts in a way. I mean, they like other shows, but the critics especially seem to have...
It's a theater person's musical.
Yeah, and as Iris Dorbian just told us in the last segment, it's a Valentine to Broadway, a Valentine to theater. And so, let's call this not only pre-Tony Day, but Valentine's Day, as we give our hearts... my segues are horrible.
Whatever that means.
We have on the phone with us a Tony nominee from The Drowsy Chaperone for Best Featured Actor, Danny Burstein. Danny, you there with us?
Yes, I am. Hey, David.
Danny, thanks so much for joining us. How has the Tony whirlwind been for you so far?
Oh, it's been wonderful. It really has been a lot of fun. So far,
yeah.
I was about to mention that the swag.
Well, what'd you get? What goodies?
Well, we got a free phone from Sprint for 3 months.
Is it one of those picture phones, or just
it's a regular old cell phone. It's just crazy. The first thing I talk about is the swag.
That's okay. What else you get?
Visa gave us a nice gift certificate, and that kind of box of chocolates and flowers, and lots of bottles of champagne. And
so it does pay to be a Tony nominee, huh?
It's not bad.
And next year you could present and get that gift bag.
Oh my goodness, I heard those gifts are pretty outrageous.
Maybe you could host, since no one's hosting this year. I think you should host in character too.
I'll put in my bid.
Well, why don't you tell the folks what your character is in The Drowsy Chaperone?
Well, I play Aldolfo, the crazy Latin lover who's... he's not very good at being a lover, and he's not very good at being Latin either.
But that's because he's not really Latin.
No, he isn't.
That's what I love about that show. Everyone has a backstory.
Exactly.
And how are the cats doing, by the way? That's all I can think of when I think of your character.
Oh, you mean the poodle?
That's right. Oh, that's right. That's because my fear was being eaten by my cat after I died. The poodles, how are they?
Oh, wonderful. Glad to say hello.
Oh, so how did you approach that character? Did Bob Martin and the writers say to you, okay, we need a Latin lover who's like this, or was it sort of, here's Aldolfo, you create how he is?
That's basically what they did. They just said he was, they put European in quotes. And then, then they started to, and I started to do all sorts of different accents, and then one day they said, well, he was the Italian lover, and the next day they said he was the Latin lover, and so then the Latin lover stuck, but no matter what, I'm actually an actor, Roman Bartelli, playing the character of Aldolfo. So, and he's supposed to be a master of many different accents, and all of them insulting. And so I had to make it big and bad and wrong and not very good. So you walk a very fine line trying to find what works with that. So I tried to make it Hispanic, Spanish with a big Latin kind of Cesar Romero kind of flair, but also a little bad too.
Well, come on, you gotta give us a taste.
I am Aldolfo.
I love it.
And you're my pick for Tony winner, by the way. I will be very disappointed if you don't get it.
Oh, God bless you.
I would say, what? You gotta do the what. Do the what.
What?
I love that. It does like 5 times in the show, and it gets me every single time.
I was going home on the subway after a show the other day, and a woman came up to me. I don't know how she recognized me, but she came up to me and behind me and went, "What?" Behind me. I was surprised.
And you, by the way, you as you said, you were on the subway. You are a born and bred New Yorker.
I am.
In the Bronx.
I am. Originally from the Bronx, and then my family moved to Queens when I was about 7 or 8, and grew up and went to public schools, and then went to the High School of Performing Arts here in New York, when it was the High School of Performing Arts on 46th Street, and
otherwise known as the Fame School.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And then went to Queens College, and.
Wow,
yeah.
You didn't leave the city. So.
No, I did. I went for my master's. I went to the University of California, San Diego.
Traitor.
So NYU wasn't good enough for you?
NYU, they didn't want me.
Oh.
What?
What?
Actually, the UCSD had a great program out there, and the La Jolla Playhouses and residents over there, and Des McAnuff was,
I was just going to say, my favorite
under his wing, and it was good.
But if you had gone to the Fame School, as it were, that means you chose pretty well early on.
Yeah.
When? I mean, what made it?
I did. Well, I was going to Parsons Junior High School in Flushing, and my teacher, Stuart Glazer, my English teacher, said, you've got something. You should really, and I was 13, he said, you should really audition for the High School of Performing Arts. And I said, that's great. What's the High School of Performing Arts?
Wow.
And he said, well, he explained it to me, and he said, you have to audition for it. And he said there are over 4,000 kids audition every year, and they accept about 120. Wow. He said, you have to do a couple of monologues. And I said, great. What's the monologue?
And, do you remember the monologues you chose?
Oh, gosh, good question. I did a monologue. I did 2. I did one from Dead End, and I think I did the other one was from The Time of Your Life, I believe.
And how were the auditions? Was it really as frightening as it would seem?
Oh, it was terrifying. Yeah, I'd never done anything like it before.
Because you're so young to be put in that precious situation.
And you have these 4 very stern-looking teachers sitting in a room, and you just have to go in there and do your monologues for them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite a rigorous process.
And then you have to wait for the envelope at home?
Exactly right.
It's just like college, just 4 years earlier.
Exactly, and I was so nervous I couldn't open the envelope. I actually asked my dad to open the envelope for me.
Oh, how exciting, though.
When you came out of California and back to New York, what were your breaks? How did you get your name going?
Well, the first big thing I did was I did a revival of The Rothschilds off-Broadway, Circle in the Square. Lonnie Price had directed the production, and it starred Mike Burstein. And
you're not related, right?
No, we're not. Actually, his name is Burstein.
Burstein, B-U-R. He was a guest on my show last year.
Well, he spells it with a Y.
Yeah, he spells it with a Y, but his family, he comes from a family of actors, and they theatricalized the spelling of it and put the Y in, but it's originally spelled like my name, and so he was very, kind and took me under his wing and taught me a lot, and he said, I wouldn't be surprised if we are related. So he said he noticed a lot of things that I did, that he saw in his grandparents and things like that. So
wow.
Yeah.
And also there's a Lonnie Price connection that goes on further because you were the standby for him on A Class Act, which was one of my favorite musicals of the last 10 years.
Yeah, it is a very, very special musical, and I was lucky enough to work on that show for a year.
Did you get on stage in it?
Oh my God, a lot.
Oh, because he was out of it. Oh.
Yeah, well, you know what? He was writing the show, directing the show, and starring in the show.
Yeah.
And, it's quite an effort to do something like that. And
At some point, you need a vacation.
At some point, you just need to sit back and watch the show and take notes. And so I actually got to go on a lot, and it was a wonderful experience because the show is so special, and it's such a wonderful role.
Cast, too.
Oh,
yeah, it was fabulous. I don't know why it flopped. I don't know why.
Well, it didn't really flop. I just don't. It's a very, again, it's another very theater person show.
Yeah.
And if it's not big and big, it was in a time where you had to be big and splashy.
You're absolutely
right. And
right.
it wasn't big and splashy. It was a very intimate musical. It was very personal.
Yeah, and it might have fared better in a larger off-Broadway house. and where we could hold on to the intimacy, because it actually started at the smaller space in Manhattan at the Manhattan Theater Club.
Now, speaking of musicals that also didn't quite fare the way people thought they would, you were very directly involved in Barry Manilow's Harmony. What's the story on that? Where is it now?
I don't know where it is right now. I did the production, and my wife actually starred opposite me at that time.
Tell everyone who your wife is.
I'm married to Kitty Carlisle Hart.
You've used that joke before in interviews, and it still works.
How did you know that? I used it once before.
Well, it was the interview I read, so...
Okay.
But no, not... Although Kitty Carlisle Hart is a lovely lady...
Yes, I adore her.
But to tell the truth...
I am married to Rebecca Luker.
Yeah, imagine, this guy gets to be on the funniest show, one of the funniest shows on Broadway, Tony nominated, and he gets to come home to Rebecca Luker.
I
Not
know.
bad, huh?
Marion the librarian.
Yeah.
Pinch me.
And the Secret Garden. She used to swing on the Secret Garden.
Gosh.
She was the original.
Yes, yeah. I know. I remember.
Yeah. Is she a Tony winner? I should have looked this up.
She actually has not won. She was nominated twice for Showboat and for The Music Man.
Did she give you any tips on getting through all the next week or so?
Well, all I know is that when they announced my name, she jumped into my arms, and it was wonderful.
And you're not going to forget to thank her, are you?
Are you kidding?
Because some people did do that.
Well, if she gets nominated, then you have to jump into her arms. So
exactly
that's going to be
right.
interesting. Yeah.
If I'm lucky enough to be, to win, which I don't think, I have no. I'm not preparing a speech, or anything like that.
Sure, you're not.
I'm not. I'm truly not. If that
Danny
happens to happen, then I'll just try and speak from the heart, and I'm sure I won't forget her.
Speak in generalities very quickly, because you only have like 30 seconds, right? I love you all.
The orchestra plays you off.
But Danny, if they announce you, if you do win, take a long time going up to the stage, because doesn't your time start when you get in front of the microphone?
No, actually, it starts as soon as they call your name.
Wow. Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what they told us. So we had some kind of a luncheon, Tony luncheon. They said, you have a minute and 10 seconds or a minute and 20 seconds from the time they call your name. So they encourage you to bound up to the stage as quickly as possible.
Do they at least put everybody on the aisles at least? I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah, that's usually what they do.
So you're going to take time to kiss your wife before you go? Or
of course. I give her one kiss and then, slap hands as I run up.
And are you going to frame the certificates and put them together on the wall?
You know what? They give it to you framed.
Oh, really?
Already, yeah. They have the same kind of silver frame, and I must confess, they're already on the wall,
Yay!
all of them.
Well, please, I have a space all reserved. I'll never get anything, but it's all reserved.
Well, here you are at probably one of the best, knock wood, points of your life, certainly career-wise.
Yeah.
And also,
there better times coming.
Kids in life. Well, maybe, yeah. But I'm saying, was there a point in your career that you never thought it would get to this, where you thought, I'm going to give up and go be something else? And, you had to get someone to tell you, no, stick with it.
Actually, I never thought that I would ever do anything. Here's the sad truth is I'm not good at anything else. I love doing it, and I could never imagine myself doing anything else. There have been times where, after you finish a job, and every actor, will tell you this, after you finish a job, you get your last paycheck and you think, I'll never work again.
Oh, wait a second. How was Law and Order?
Oh, I've been on a bunch of times.
I know. Well, every New York actor's been on Law and Order. So you'll always work again as long as there's Law and Order.
Yeah, it's good. And this last year, it's crazy. This last year, I was in a movie called Transamerica with Felicity Huffman.
Oh, really? Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Were you a man or a woman? Or
I was a man.
But who were you in this?
I played her doctor at the beginning of the film, and I actually had a beard and glasses and that.
Yeah, oh my God, I would never recognize.
Yeah. I know, nobody ever does. And that's kind of the thing that I love about being an actor. I mean, my idea of being an actor is, people don't know who you are, and people don't recognize you as you walk out the stage door, and people didn't realize that was you in the film. And that's kind of a huge compliment to me. It means I'm doing my job. And
well, Danny, I just want you to know, I actually saw that film in Bangkok, Thailand.
Really?
It was playing in a really huge theater. It was well attended, and people loved it.
Oh, wonderful!
Well, half the people there were actually transvestites. Not that you can tell.
Actually, it is very big in Thailand.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
But I was really surprised that they got the whole movie.
Yeah.
And they thought you were fabulous, by the way. They said, the doctor in the beginning, unbelievable.
Well, he was unbelievable.
When they first saw you on the screen, the whole audience en masse said, "What?" Because they knew.
This has to be a new calling card, right there.
Exactly.
So
the neat thing about it was that they showed it at the Oscars as well. So that clip, I don't know why they chose that clip, but
because you were in it.
Maybe. Well, this year I'll be in the Oscars and the Tonys. So that's kind of cool.
But we want to hear you talk at the Tonys. I do.
Knock wood. Now, if you win, and
I do. That's right. I shouldn't give you a kanahara. I'm sorry.
Hey, Danny would know what that word means.
Of course he would.
One last question for Danny Burstein before, unfortunately, we have to let you go.
Okay.
But yes, right now your life is occupied with a drowsy chaperone. It's been running for a few weeks, and God willing, it'll do great, and you'll stay with it. But what's on the horizon, and what kind of roles have you ever thought about playing?
What's down the road for Danny Burstein?
What's down the road? Actually, I have nothing lined up. I just did a workshop of Jason Robert Brown's newest musical that he's working on, Honeymoon in Vegas. And but that's knows
based
when,
on the film.
Yeah.
Wow.
And written with Andrew Bergman, and it's kind of wonderful. And but who knows when that'll happen.
But you ever want to leave this show? I think this.
Well, right now I'm very, very happy to be.
Because I love you. You're perfect in the show. Don't change.
Which I did for a year.
Yes, I know.
He wasn't an original cast member, but he came in after Jordan Leeds left, and he was there for quite a while.
Exactly.
And by the way, sorry, yes.
No, Jordan left after after the first week or two, and they and I took over for him right after they opened, and they asked me to do the original cast album.
Cool.
That was lovely too.
And I do have to ask, what is Rebecca Luker working on these days?
Well, she just finished her second gig at Feinstein's, and got some just tremendous reviews for that. And this summer she's doing a new play by A.R. Gurney, who has become a friend of ours. I did a play of his at the Flea Theater with Sigourney Weaver and John Lithgow about a year and a half ago.
Oh, Mrs. Farnsworth, right?
Mrs. Farnsworth, exactly right. And she's doing a play of his called Indian Blood at Primary Stages this summer.
Cool. Yes, I read about that.
Yeah, Pamela Peyton Wright is in it, and John McMartin.
Wow.
And after she literally, I think she starts rehearsal while she's still in performances for that play for Mary Poppins, which she's going to be doing on Broadway in the fall.
Who's she going to be in Mary Poppins?
She's going to play Mrs. Banks.
Oh.
Yeah.
The mother.
Exactly right.
Wow.
Glynis Johns played it in the film.
Yeah, wow. Oh, you've been 2 hit shows at the same time.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Doesn't get better
Well,
than
do
that.
give her our best, too, because I love her, too.
Yeah, she's all right.
Ever since the Secret Garden swing.
Oh.
I just wanted to be on the swing.
I won't even ask. Okay,
That's right.
But Danny Burstein, it's been great swinging with you these past 15, 20 minutes.
Pleasure's all mine.
Best of luck next week. Best of luck in all your stuff, and congratulations on being in a really, really fun show.
Oh, thanks so much, Dave.
And thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
And we are into the 3rd hour of the WGBB 2nd Annual Tony Awards special. Thank you so much for staying with us, if you've been with us since 9. Welcome to everyone who normally tunes in at this time for my regular weekly show, Dave's Gone By. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, radio personality, theater critic, journalist, humorist, and tonight's host for the WGBB Tony Awards special. Very proud to be here. Gotta thank a few people before we go on, just in case I don't get to thank them at the end of the show. Let's see. Who am I thanking? Got the wrong... Oh, here's Jeff Goodman, my co-host.
Would you like to thank Minuteman Press?
You betcha. Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett.
I think you should also thank MortgagesRock.com.
Yes, because why? You know why?
Why?
Not just because it's the place to go for a mortgage, but because it's the place to go where they'll teach you how to help other people get funding, mortgages, funding for college loans. Maybe you want to redo the house. MortgagesRock.com is
That
the place
really
to go.
rocks.
Yes. You know what? Wait, I got to figure out their slogan here. Mortgages rock because... Oh, I say it every week.
Because they're stoned.
Something making money never sounded so good. Okay, not my slogan, it's theirs, but there you go.
How about PAI?
Yes, that's Performing Arts Insider Theater Magazine.
Never heard of it.
Oh, yes, you have.
What is that?
You're a subscriber, Jeff,
It
thank you.
sounds so interesting.
Well, since you read it, why don't you tell the folks what Performing Arts Insider is?
Oh, it is the definitive theater industry magazine that tells you all that you ever will need to know about Broadway and off-Broadway theater, as well as insightful and informative reviews.
Thank you. And people can find out about Performing Arts Insider at the website performingartsinsider.com. Full disclosure, I'm the co-publisher of Performing Arts Insider.
And it's only $1,000 a year.
No, it's not. It's a little lower, I think, than our competition, and better than our competition.
It really is a wonderful resource for anyone who is thinking about becoming a theatrical any kind of theatrical professional. You really need this. It's a good tool.
Thank you very much. And speaking of good tools, Jeff Goodman, you've been marvelous. What? We've had some great guests on already. I mean, we've heard from everyone from playwright Jeffrey Sweet to Connecticut theater critic Rosalind Friedman. We've got Jeannie Lieberman coming up. She's a critic on the internet.
You forgot Charlie Gross.
Eva Heinemann called in, and we had, of course, Tony-nominated actor Danny Burstein. That was such a nice fella.
So, and we're crossing fingers right now because we hope he wins.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like Christian Hoff and Jersey Boys.
I like him.
Well, Danny Burstein's really fun. Yeah.
What? You didn't like?
But let's get to our new special guest on the phone with us. He is a critic from New Jersey. He's written not only for TotalTheater.com, he's written for US 1 newspapers in New Jersey, and he is currently the president of the Outer Critics Circle Awards. Now, the Tonys aren't the only New York Theater Awards, just in case people aren't that familiar with all. There's the Drama Desk, the New York Drama Critics Circle, there's the Lucille Lortel Awards, the Obie Awards for Off-Broadway. They all have different kind of things and rules. There's the Pulitzer Prize for Drama, which wasn't even awarded this year. So the Outer Critics Circle covers Broadway and Off-Broadway together in a certain kind of a way. But we'll have the president, Simon Saltzman, tell us all about it. Simon, you there?
I sure am, David.
Hey,
thanks so much for having me on your show.
Oh, you're so
I have
welcome.
to make a correction, though.
Go
I am
for
not the president. I am the acting president of Outer Critics Circle. And the reason they gave me that title is to make sure every day I remind myself that I shouldn't be the overacting president.
Oh.
And if you do a really good job, you could be nominated for a Tony Award.
That's right.
Yeah, and also, hey, to Jeff, it's nice to be invited to a menage a trois. I haven't had that pleasure in a while.
Oh, Simon, you
when did you? Whoa, Lucianne, you freaky girl.
Simon, did you live through those 60s too?
She's listening on the computer. I locked myself in a different room. So, by the way, I'm not using a cell phone. Isn't that great? So we don't have to worry about being disconnected.
That's wonderful.
But I'll send you the bill.
Thank you for using
the landline. And you don't have to
landline.
worry about being kicked out of History Boys either.
Oh,
right.
Exactly right.
So,
Listen,
Simon,
I want to
yeah.
go back to one thing before
Sure.
we get started on the categories that you asked me to discuss. Jeffrey Sweet was talking about a play by Nicky Silver that he loved. The play was Beautiful Child, and I agree with him. It was one of the most amazing, memorable plays. I think it's maybe his finest play. I'm a Nicky Silver fan.
Oh, me too.
But I thought that play was really unnecessarily trashed.
I was one of the people trashing it. I loathed it.
Really? Well, I think there are
God.
two schools of thought on that. I thought it was a very, very deeply committed play to the theme that he was dealing with. It was magnificently acted. Well, we don't have to belabor that.
Do you like Edward Albee?
Do I like Edward Albee?
Yeah, do you like his
He's
work
a very
in general?
nice man.
Of course I do.
And I mean, I'm not just Virginia Woolf, but
Did
his
you like
stuff.
Seascape is
Yeah,
a
that
good
kind of
question.
Because if you like Albee, you would have liked Beautiful Child, I think. It appeals to the same... Hello?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm listening. I have very mixed
He's not on
feelings
the phone.
about Seascape. I'm not in that corner.
Well, anyway, let's talk about the two categories that we have lined up.
Biggies.
Big ones for Simon Saltzman. Leading actor in a musical. We have Michael Cerveris, Sweeney Todd, Harry Connick Jr., The Pajama Game, Stephen Lynch, The Wedding Singer, Bob Martin, The Drowsy Chaperone, and John Lloyd Young, Jersey Boys. Simon, what are your thoughts?
Oh God, this is rough because I think I really liked all of them. You're probably going to want My
So it's
guess
like all
is
Stephen
who's
Lynch
gonna-
all the time? Is that it?
I like all of them. Certainly, it seems to me everybody that plays Sweeney gets a nomination. That seems to come with the territory. And Michael Cerveris is just amazing in the role.
Do you think his winning last year will hurt his chances this year?
Probably. They'll probably say enough is enough. Bob Martin is also incredible in Chaperone. He's a real find, and certainly he's the hilarious center of the show.
But do you think that the fact that he doesn't sing...
I think it might help. Might actually help.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of personally would be kind of upset, although I loved him. I just don't want to see him win because I don't want to see someone who doesn't sing get that back during the musical.
Yeah.
Well, I understand your point, but he is the heart and the soul of this show.
Oh, absolutely.
And as a matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, the performance that he gives is the equivalent of a singing performance. I mean, he sings for me. That performance was just so lyrical. And
it touches home with a lot of us. Anyone who's ever sat with their records, who takes care of their records and listens to their old albums, all the old shows.
He plays a character that I think many of us can, if not personally relate to, knows the guy next door that's this character. And certainly those of us that are so closely connected to the
But doesn't that go to the writing of the show rather than the acting?
I think it's all. I think the ensemble is so connected. The whole piece is such a beautifully put together, original piece, from the music to the book to the performances. I think you could feel the love and the incredible comradeship in this show.
So is Bob Martin your choice for leading actor in a musical?
No, my leading choice, and if we're gonna skip over Stephen Lynch, who is incredible, is really wonderful in the Wedding Singer.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm really glad that people
like
nice
him.
stuff.
Oh,
to
he
say
was
about Wedding Singer.
wonderful. I wish I could.
I thought they all were, actually. I thought the whole cast of Wedding Singer was pretty good.
I enjoyed the show. I mean, it's inane, it's silly, it's a ridiculous show, but it's very, very entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
Very entertaining.
Sometimes you just want to turn your mind off and say, let me see a fun show.
Exactly.
And I hope it does well.
I think word of mouth is very good on this show, from what I can gather.
Good.
Well, it's the big bridge and truck people who can't get tickets to Jersey Boys if it's sold out.
Right.
That's what they're going to go see is Wedding Singer. But so you were going to say you were.
So then we have to go on to Harry Connick Jr., who is incredible and
fabulous singer. But I don't know about the acting so much.
Well, I enjoyed the performance. It was also a performance that made you sit up and watch and really care. I mean,
Did you like the fact?
First of all, he sounds like Old Blue Eyes when he sings. That's a plus right there. But I thought he was dynamic on the stage and really made the Pajama Game. It's one of my favorite musicals. Talking back about Drowsy Chaperone and a guy playing an album. I remember as a teenager when Pajama Game opened. That's giving away something. Playing that album till you couldn't hear it anymore. I played it constantly over and over. So I mean, it's a show.
Here, listen.
Woman, I'll tell you.
Who loved a
woman.
Oh, that's great.
She was one he threw a dragon for.
Am I allowed to admit that I saw Janet Page and John Reid in the original?
Sure.
But me, I love you more.
Tell me, yeah.
It was great. But I think I guess we're going to get back to John
feel
Lloyd
like a
Young
teenager again now.
And that performance was tops. I think he's a shoo-in.
Really?
Really? Oh.
Yeah, I don't think there's any competition there, frankly. I think it's because the combination of not only the singing, but the depth of the acting. This is a performance that really transcends the general musical comedy performance or the musical theater performance expectations. I think I had the pleasure of seeing it twice, and I was able to really appreciate the work, the technique, and the complete commitment that John has to the role of Frankie Valli.
Jeff, who's your choice for leading actor in a musical?
This is one of those. It's a very funny year. There's either all these categories that I really don't care about. It's just like who cares? But this is one that they have so many good people.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Michael Cerveris, but again, he did win last year, and why give him 2 in a row? Make him work again next year.
So don't you feel that it's a shoo-in for John Lloyd Young?
It sort of is, because people really, really love the show. However, it's the Bob Martin thing again. I loved his performance, but I don't know if I really want him to win. But I think it's going to be between Bob Martin and John Lloyd Young, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, that's right, but I think that John is going to do it.
I think probably.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it the second time with a real audience, not the usual press crowd, and those people were just going.
Well, he's very good.
Bananas.
And now there are 5 women who are pretty good in their job, too.
Not bad.
Which are vying for leading actress in a musical. And the nominees are Sutton Foster in The Drowsy Chaperone, LaChance for The Color Purple, Patti LuPone in Sweetie Todd, Kelly O'Hara for The Pajama Game, and Cheetah Rivera as herself in Cheetah Rivera, A Dancer's Life. I think that was a stretch of an acting job there, wasn't it?
I think so.
I mean,
in a sense, she was. I think that's just sort of filling out the category. We've got a lot of that, but we don't have to belabor that point either. That filling out the category.
Yeah, but shouldn't that have been in special events? Right. Shouldn't she have been nominated for special
events? Absolutely. But
instead of granting carte blanche to Sarah Jones for Bridget Tunnel.
That's the one thing about this year's nominating committee. I think they unnecessarily really dropped a lot of shows that could have been in there. But they really are pushing for Drowsy Chaperone to sweep in their nominations.
Well, I think it could easily be, the Avenue Q of this year. Because I think up until the time that Drowsy opened, certainly the favorite was Jersey Boys.
Yeah. But I don't think it's anything like Avenue Q, because I think
I'm talking about the musical that starts out with little fanfare.
Right, but even when it was up for the Tony, a Tony Awards night, people still thought Wicked was going to win.
Exactly.
I mean, and I think most people kind of know that. I mean, I think that Drowsy Chaperone's going to win Best Musical and pretty much sweep.
The only thing that's going to stop that is, there's a huge block of producers from Middle America, and once you get past the metropolitan area, you're not going to have a lot of people that are really going to dig the whole theme, concept, and aura that Drowsy Chaperone creates. It's definitely a big city show, whereas Jersey Boys is the kind of show that every theater across the country is going to want to have in their theaters.
But what you put it this way, Jersey Boys is a guaranteed lock to tour and for people to love everywhere. Yeah. Maybe they want Drowsy Chaperone to get the Tony win so that they can say the Tony win Drowsy Chaperone and make it more appealing.
And isn't it really more of a show? It's original.
But let's get back to the women, by the way.
Sorry.
Yeah, we somehow
sidetracked. Well, I hope the Tony voters are not going to forget the really great performance LaChance is giving in The Color Purple. I know there are many that don't think that it's a great show, but when you think of the sprawling story that it gives, the chance that LaChance has to grow and to evolve over the course of an evening,
I didn't buy her as an old woman. I saw an actress playing an old woman gumming her food and stuff.
But she did she really did a very good job in the role. It's a tough role. But you're right. I also, at her old age...
I'd like to see her win it. I'd like to see her win
really?
Because, Patti LuPone is astonishing, and as Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney.
Because that's all we thought.
Yeah, I mean, but that, it's sort of like, sure, she did what we knew she could do. Sutton Foster's eccentric with all that acrobatic dancing.
Yeah.
And Chaperone, that stopped the show in its tracks, and it was hard for her to stop it, considering her co-star there. Although it's a title role, it's really a supporting role. Best level is a showstopper. Those are two amazing performances, but I don't know if.
But she's not really. She doesn't really have a leading role.
I know
it's not. It just feels more of like
supporting.
An ensemble.
Yeah,
that's one of the categories they really should have is best ensemble. Just the way the Outer Critic Circle has the best ensemble.
We do on occasion. We didn't have it this year for some weird reason. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. For the first year, the Outer Critics decided to have an outstanding new score, which we never had before, and we're thrilled to have that. And I'm in because I worked very hard to get. I campaigned for that, if that's the right word. And of course, Drowsy did it. Those two great composers. I think the score is wonderful. By the way, I can't wait to own it and play it in the car.
Let me ask
play your record all the time.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Simon. You were at the Outer Critics Circle Awards. What was it? A week or two ago?
Not only at them, I presided over them.
You presided, yeah.
But actingly.
Any great?
not without overacting.
Any great quotes? Any great thoughts or memories from that evening?
Oh, the food was excellent for a change.
Well, aside from
where was
for
it?
a change? Oh.
No, they came through for us. They had a really wonderful dinner.
Where was it held?
At Sardi's, in the Eugenia Room on the
Very
fourth floor. It was my first year, and it was a difficult undertaking for me, especially getting everybody seated at the tables they wanted to sit at. The nice thing about Outer Critics is that the press are seated with the stars, the celebrities. It's like a party. So there's no separation. There's no class distinction, as it were. And are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Somehow
No, we're here.
Okay. And everybody schmoozes and parties, and there's no TV. The conversations are light, and everybody's on their
It's a very
best
comfortable
behavior, but relaxed.
Okay,
enjoying
Simon.
each other's company.
One last question, actually, before we let you go. We have this next category. Stay with us while we do it, because I want to hear your thoughts on revival of a musical. Now, there are only 3 listed. I think there were only 3 revivals of a musical done on Broadway this year. The Pajama Game, Sweeney Todd, and Three Penny Opera. So, actually, there should only be 2 up there, but yeah.
So you like Three Penny Opera?
Oh, God.
I thought it was dreadful.
Yeah, no, it was awful. It was horrendous. There's a reason they all come out for curtain calls at the end of those 3 hours.
Isn't there some discussion as to whether the category should actually be filled out just for the sake of filling it out, even if a show gets panned by everybody?
Well, I mean, there's only 3 in there, as opposed to normally there's room for 4 or 5. So on some level, they made
someone
it
must have liked it, but then
many.
they also tended to like that. What was that? The roundabout thing that.
But talking about filling out a category, if I can say just one more thing before we're finished. When I think back over the off-Broadway season, which you asked me to think about too, there were so many amazing plays that I could think of a dozen that would have filled out even more excitingly the Broadway roster.
Grey Garden.
There was The Privilege by Paul Weitz. Orson Shadow, Orson Pendleton's wonderful play. BFE, Julia Cho. Then there was Alan Ayckbourn's play, Private Fears in Public Places. That probably would have won had it moved to Broadway. I think there's still talk about that.
Yeah,
what about Christopher Durang's very, very funny farce, Miss Witherspoon? And the intelligent design of Jenny Chow. I could go on and on. I mean, the third, Wendy Wasserstein's play, Third.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
You're pushing it now, Simon.
No, I don't think so. Nilo Cruz's beautifully written play, Beauty of the Father. The Little Dog Laughed.
That's coming to Broadway next season.
Yeah.
They're going to move that.
I don't know whether it's going to make it. That's a tough sell, but for me, it was a great centered performance there.
Okay, but Simon, you didn't actually answer about revival of a musical. Which would you go for, and which are they going to pick?
It's basically Pajama Game of Sweeney Todd.
It's got to be. I think it's going to be Sweeney Todd.
You think so?
Yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed if Pajama Game won, but I have a feeling there's just such a feeling about how unusual, how creative, how
but they'll learn next year when Company comes. Not so much.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when John Doyle directs Company and we start to say, well, wait, this is his style. He always strips everything down and turns props into 5 different things. It wasn't that special. Yeah, we're just new to it.
Right.
Maybe.
And the other thing, because we're not going to discuss that, is this cutoff date business for awards. I just came back from seeing a play this afternoon on 42nd Street on Theater Row by a playwright called Nilaja Sun. It's called No Child. Did either of you see it?
No.
You must promise me you're going to go see it. It closes next week.
Right.
To me, it was one of the best plays of the year. Absolutely amazing. She does, in a way, what Sarah Jones is doing. She's playing a multitude of characters. I think it's about 17. She plays a school teacher, principal, a janitor, and these kids in a Bronx high school. But it's brilliantly.
Is it a solo performance?
And you really have to go.
It's a solo performance.
And pardon me?
It's a solo performance.
Solo performance.
And what you were talking about cutoff dates now? What did that happen?
Well, in other words, there's shows that open after our cutoff date for Outer Critics was April the 22nd. There were many shows that, that opened in that weird period between April. See, the season years ago used to be June 1st
right.
to May 31st. And now there's this sort of no man's land.
Yeah, how did you feel about extending the Tony deadline for Tarzan? Of all things, Disney said
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, they extended it just because Tarzan said that we're not going to be ready to open.
Wow.
And I kind of thought that was kind of wrong. But has the Outer Critics Circle ever thought about having their award ceremony after the Tonys then?
We've traditionally been first. We're
right,
first
I know.
We're
but
before
you're
the drama
first,
desk.
but a lot of things, sometimes, like I remember years ago, things would win that weren't even open. That was, when Marjorie Gunner was president. Things would just...
Well, but there was also the problem...
No, they didn't win before they opened. They could have been nominated. That's why we have a nominating committee, and we go to early previews. They're not for reviewing purposes.
No, but what was happening with Outer Critics Circle was the awards came so early, and the cutoffs and deadlines were so early that, there would be 5 Broadway shows that would be schlunked into the next
We don't
season.
do that anymore.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, we don't do that
anymore. Very wise move. And Simon, it's been a wise and wonderful move for you to be with us on the WGBB Tony Awards special.
Well, thank you.
And please remind people not only the fact that you're acting president of the Outer Critics Circle, but where can
not overacting.
Not overacting.
You didn't ask me about the worst of Broadway this year.
All right, real quick, Simon. You got 1 minute.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, what did you hate? I should have asked more of that.
I'm one of the few that didn't like Shining City. I thought it was
okay.
A total bore. And I found Faith Healer quite boring, and
a lot of people
very
did.
Dark and murky. All those dark and murky musings,
But you love the blonde and the Thunderbird, right?
I like the blonde and the Thunderbird, yeah. But
wait, whoa! Are you joking now?
Of course I'm joking.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was out of town when the show opened.
We wish we all were.
And closed.
But thank you for being in town with us for the Tony Show, Simon Saltzman.
Well, I thank you.
A pleasure always. Have a great one, man.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Good night, Simon.
Well, we talked about the revivals, Pajama Game, Sweeney Todd, and Threepenny Opera. And I think most people kind of hated Threepenny Opera, and just for various reasons. That one doesn't have a cast album yet either. I think it will.
Yes, it's coming out.
It's coming out. And, I didn't like Nellie McKay so much in it, although I got her solo album, and it's got some interesting stuff on it. But, I'm doing this long lead-in to a song that is in there called Tango Ballad. It's called something else because they changed all the titles in this new Threepenny.
It's a new translation.
Right. And nothing wrong with that, except it's a really bad and vulgar translation. But here's a translation I kind of like, a version of a song in Threepenny Opera called Tango Ballad that comes from an album that Uta Lemper did. Now, it's a very weird album. She's sometimes great and she's sometimes really irritating.
And she's a lot of time in Chicago.
Right. But she's not in Chicago now. Or, well, maybe she is. But
she'll probably be coming back. She came back like 4 times already.
Here's a duet that she sings on stage. It's done with, in the new version, Cyndi Lauper and, what's his name, the Scottish, the lead. From Cabaret.
I know. I can see him. Skinny guy.
Yeah.
Him.
Weird hair and then the earrings. Well, anyway, they do it, and they do it pretty. It's one of the better moments in Threepenny Opera. But this is the version with Uta Lemper singing with Neil Hannon. He's a member of the Divine Comedy rock group, and I like it quite a lot. It's from the Punishing Kiss album, Tango Ballad. And we are into the very last half hour of the WGBB second annual Tony Awards special.
You mean it's almost over?
It's almost... Well, we've got 1/9 left, 1/6 left, but we'll make it count. It's a big, wonderful half hour. We have
big finish.
Yeah, well, there we go. With a big tool, I think we were talking about before. I don't know what that means. See, after 11, we can do more stuff. Not quite what...
let's call, what's her name?
We've had some interesting people, wonderful guests on tonight. All sorts of critics, including Roz Friedman, Jeannie Lieberman, Charles Gross, my co-host Jeff Goodman from Two on the Aisle. Just got through Simon Saltzman, who is the acting president of the Outer
Critic. Who cursed at us?
Yeah. Well, it didn't actually go through on the air. I hit the delay button fast enough. But Eva Heinemann talked about her.
Eva shouldn't be cursing like that.
I know she should know. Well, she's on cable, so you can. So I guess she's not used to opening on radio. Well, anyway, but I'm sure here's someone who will absolutely be the soul of discretion and charm and good language. She is a theater critic for a website called theaterscene.net. TheaterScene.net. Her name is Jeannie Lieberman, and she's going to weigh in on a couple of different categories, Tony nominations. Jeannie, are you with us?
I am definitely with you and raring to go.
And there's no cursing.
Already.
We'll have none of that.
It's nice to follow Simon because he is my acting president on OCC. My colleague.
Does he overact, though? Does he overact?
Sometimes. He's my colleague on Drama Desk. He is one of my writers on theaterscene.net.
Oh, I didn't know. Cool. He covers New Jersey theater?
And sometimes New York. Yeah.
Great.
I love his opinions.
And we hear he really liked the show on 42nd Street recently.
Which one? Which one?
Oh, see, you weren't listening.
By the way, we quiz our
guest. The Thunderbird girl?
He was listening.
Thunderbird girl? You mean you don't know who that is?
Whatever.
Suzanne Summers.
You know.
Okay.
I guess you don't own a thigh master, do you?
I thought,
she was once married to one. But, no, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Boys,
I know.
we have business here.
Yes, two business. Jeff, you want to read the nominations, please, for orchestrations?
I would love to.
Please.
Because my favorite category is always the orchestrations of a musical. The nominees this time are Larry Blank for The Drowsy Chaperone, Dick Lieb and Danny Trube for The Pajama Game, Steve Orich for Jersey Boys, and Sarah Travis, who took away from Sweeney Todd.
I see she did.
Because it wasn't really orchestrating, it was like de-orchestrating the musical.
Exactly. But, before we get to that, I chose this category because I don't think anybody really understands it. And so I contacted my good friend Don Pippin, who won the only Tony Award for Music Director in 1963 for Oliver. And I asked him, I said, why orchestrators and not, why was your category dropped as music director? And what is the difference? And what does everyone do? And he explained it this way. He said, the music director is really the liaison between the composer and the entire musical production. The composer comes to the music director with his musical ideas. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's simple, sometimes it's depending on the composer. And so then they discuss the content, the mood, the tempo, the intention of the music, and then the director works with the stage director and the choreographer. Mm-hmm. He rehearses. He's in on the casting procedure so that the right performers can sing. Will enhance the music, and then usually he can also be the vocal arranger and the dance music arranger. Usually though they definitely conduct.
And the orchestrator?
He could be the orchestrator, but what they do usually is suggest.
But what is the main difference between the music director and the orchestrator?
Well, it's like the president of the company and the secretary. I'm sorry to say that, but once all of this has been worked out, when the actors have been rehearsed and the vocal and everything is set up, the staging, the sequence, the tempo, and everything, then you go to the orchestrator, who fleshes it all out. He puts the actual music on the chart, decides...
Yeah, I thought the orchestrator takes the actual piano music, that is what the composer writes it as. This is the way my simple mind goes. It takes the piano music and then basically writes it in different parts for each piece of the orchestra.
But there are many processes in between, before it's ready to be orchestrated. And that's what's worked out in the creative design and structure of the musical.
But is that the composer or is that the musical director?
The musical director with the composer. Oh. And then when it's all fleshed out and it's, everyone's rehearsed, then they bring in the orchestra and and that's the finished product. So when somebody comes into the theater, they don't really know who contributed what, to what they hear. Right. That's why the category is kind of embarrassing. because he had once asked Isabel Stevens, Don Pippin, you know, he said, well, why did you drop the category of musical director and in favor of orchestrator? And she said, because no one knows what the musical director
And orchestrator sounds like such a cool job.
And also, Isabel Stevenson was so old at that point, she was dropping everything. So, no, I don't know what that means.
Very possible.
Thank you. So we got to get to the actual category.
But this is, you know, so what is reflected in the nomination?
So you're like going to go protest against the whole thing and not vote, huh? You go protest against the whole category, right?
No, not at all. But the ignorance of what an orchestrator does and the voters and the nominators is reflected in the nominations.
Right.
So, okay, what do we have? Of 4 categories, 4 nominations, we only have 1 original musical.
Right.
And that's from the beginning to the end. That's taking a show from scratch.
But, of course, Jersey Boys also had, all those songs had to be orchestrated.
Not necessarily.
The
prime focus was to keep it meticulously reproduce that sound and then augment it.
I agree on that.
That's true.
So that's not very creative. Now you take Sweeney Todd. They took an entire...
I feel like the teacher's talking to me now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I get a little
Sorry.
passionate on this, you know, because I know you want to talk about Best Actor.
Well, don't tell Don Pippin I said that. Tell him he's right.
Well, he's listening.
I'm sure he is right.
He's listening, I'm sure.
Don, I'm sorry.
Isabel, I'm sorry if you're listening from wherever you are.
Well, anyway.
So pick one.
It's kind of stupid because, you know...
Well, okay.
So the only one that's legitimate is Drowsy Chaperone.
So you think Larry Blank should get it?
Absolutely, and I also think that, you know, Wedding Singer should have been in there, and Color Purple, because these are original musicals.
Okay.
You know, so...
Okay, and how about leading actor in a play? Which is Ralph Fiennes for Faith Healer, Richard Griffiths from the History Boys. I can never get Zelvienko Ivanek. Is that how you pronounce it?
Something like that.
Zelvienko. I don't know.
It's Rafe Fiennes, by the way. Rafe.
I keep doing that every time. I know it's Rafe Fiennes, and I keep reading Ralph because it's on the paper. It says Ralph.
Well, I had it done phonetically for me, so I wouldn't screw up.
See, well, I don't know. Dave doesn't do that.
No.
I'm not hooked on phonics here. And then we also have Oliver Platt from Shining City, and David Wilmot from The Lieutenant of Inishmore.
And, you know, I couldn't have cared
less.
less.
To quote one of the author's previous plays, we're sorry for that. And we're sorry for that.
Now, Rafe Fiennes, he is has the panache of a British superstar. And basically, he's pretty depressing in every mover I've seen. He's depressed and depressing. And so he was in The Faith Healer. It's a monologue.
Did you think he was better in Hamlet?
Well, yes, but in this play, you know, he's definitely a fine actor. But this was a monologue. You know, the definition of acting is to interact. And it was a monologue. And it was so obscure anyway. I defy you to tell me what really happened.
I just got hit on the wrist with that ruler again.
Oh, boy, a lot of people today did not like Faith Healer. I find myself in this weird position of defending the play and not quite the production, but okay.
Oh, can you tell me what happened at the end?
Off the air when we have time, yeah. Well, I've seen the play 2 or 3 times, but...
Well, nobody's ever been able to explain it to me.
Oh, absolutely.
And I actually stayed awake.
He got beaten to death. Okay, I just saved you 2 hours and 45 minutes. At the end of the day, he's beaten to death by these people because he's not able to heal a guy. There you go.
Okay.
And how about Richard Griffiths?
Well, let's go with...
Well, first of all, let's turn off our cell phones.
Zelko.
Oh,
Zelko Ivanek. You know, he did a fine...
You now pronounce his name better than I did, too.
I'm sorry that came
Ivanek. I practiced that before.
We should have gotten more nominations, I think, in a bunch of different things.
I
think it got a very short shrift this year.
I thought it did. I thought it was a wonderful play. But I think that I couldn't erase the Humphrey Bogart image when I watched him. You know, it just didn't eclipse Bogey as Captain Queeg. I would think that Oliver Platt gave the breakout performance of the season.
Really?
And of his career. well, you know, the play is really nothing more than a ghost story. It's very thin plot. And McPherson specializes in these Irish yarns. So a yarn and a ghost story is as good as the person who's telling it.
Yeah, but here, Jeannie, it's even though most of the best work that Oliver Platt does in Shining City, and he's mesmerizing for a good period of time.
Yeah,
it's monologue, which is exactly the thing that you're against. He's literally goes on for 25 minutes uninterrupted, telling his story. That's monologue.
Well, I guess so. But still, but he was mesmerizing. I was totally involved, you know. Of course, I thought that the play was sort of a cheap trick at the end. You know. And of course, Richard Griffiths is the best of the best. There's no question about it. Beautiful performance, nuanced. He makes you feel smart. The play makes you feel smart.
Yeah, let me ask you something. First of all, when I got my seats, they were all the way to the side, so I hardly saw anybody.
Oh.
They really were. They were amazingly to the side.
Well, that's very poor set design.
Yeah, it was.
And
really,
directing.
Yes. But I also, and maybe it's because I've let it be known quite a number of times, that I'm not really crazy that I'm not crazy about the fact they brought History Boys to Broadway for like 6 weeks. They're going to grab some Tonys and leave and then.
Well, wait a second. So you don't know that it's not going to be extended like every other show?
No, they've already booked the theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then I think it's a privilege that we got to see it.
Yeah, but you come in. It's a limited, like really short run show that is not planning on extending because I don't remember what's moving.
Well, do you hold that against 3 Days of Rain?
Yeah, well, of course, I wouldn't want to hold anything against it.
Might drown in the process. Well,
only if you're in the first 3
why don't you look at it this way of quality versus quantity?
I know, but I don't like I really hate the fact that it's there to pick up awards to push the movie.
But from what I've heard, they didn't expect this kind of reception, and they haven't gotten it on the road on the way to here. So it was a big surprise to them, our reception of this.
I mean, and also they may not have known when they were all planning this. I thought a pretty weak season for plays on Broadway. I mean, if you think about it, if that's the best of the lager, I think maybe Rabbit Hole might be a little bit better. That's not.
You thought Rabbit Hole was better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get to the lead actress.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do lead actress.
So you just go with Richard Griffiths, though, right?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, lead actress. Here's another one of my little pet peeve things. Because there's no one in the show that's running. Kate Burton for The Constant Wife, Judy Kay for Souvenir, Lisa Crone for Well, Cynthia Nixon for Rabbit Hole, and Lynn Redgrave for The Constant Wife. First of all, where'd they get The Constant Wife for two?
Now, wait a second. I heard you guys talk about The Constant Wife earlier this evening, and, you know, I disagree with you. It was a brilliant play.
Really?
Maybe it's a chick play, like a chick flick.
Yeah.
You know, the woman comes... It was brilliant, and I
thought it was terribly tedious.
No, I thought it was amusing, but I didn't think it was at all special. And
I nearly hit my date on the way out. I mean, she really energized me against...
Really?
Oh, I mean, here's a woman who was, you know, whose husband was cheating with her best friend. She didn't want the scandal of being divorced, so she had to be smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
And she turned it around so that eventually she got everything she wanted. Her husband had the broken heart. She had a new lover, and
but I didn't think that the performances were anything special.
Oh, she dominated. She manipulated. She kept everything moving on the stage. I mean, Kate Burton is really a featured performer in that because just her name was above the title, but you know it was Lynn Redgrave's show, and I thought she was.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Kate Burton all that time. Isn't that interesting?
Right.
Until you just said you were talking about Lynn Redgrave. I thought you were talking about Burton.
No.
But she's
No, Lynn Redgrave was the motivator, the prime mover of that play.
Yeah, because otherwise I would think of her as a featured performer, too, in that role.
Lynn Redgrave?
Yeah.
No, she was the constant wife.
So would you vote for her? Would she be your...
I would hands down vote for her, but she won't get it.
Over Judy Kay and Souvenir.
Really?
Judy Kay...
Oh, that was a musical, not really a play.
No, Judy Kay... If you know any singers, trained singers, how difficult it is to sing off key.
That's exactly.
And she's a great singer. She's a great actress. Judy Kay also deserves the award, but maybe more a musical than a play. I'm not sure. But she did a brilliant job. But it was small. It was an intimate production. I don't know that it really needed to be on Broadway. I think it was more effective off-Broadway, actually.
Yeah, but being on Broadway, I thought it really brought Broadway audiences to that show.
I also liked it more on Broadway.
Which really deserved to be seen. I mean, it was a wonderful tale about this woman who no one's really heard about. I mean, a lot of people know about her. But, I love when you just learn about this
That's
woman.
right. It's a real woman that makes it very special.
Oh,
It's a sweet little play. And I like, as I said, the second time I saw it, I liked it better.
Do you know if they filmed that at all?
I wish they would.
I would
wish
love
they would
to buy
open it up
a
and film
DVD
it.
of that.
And that touching moment at the end when she sings what she hears in her head.
Oh, that was. I mean, it was. Well, you know who really should have got a nomination too was that piano player.
He was nice.
He was spectacular.
And so much better than the off-Broadway guy. That's what made the difference.
Yes, he was.
The off-Broadway guy was just like I couldn't act, and he was just like a schlub.
Yeah, he was.
It made a big difference.
On Broadway, you knew this guy really. He at first, I mean, you knew in the beginning it was a job, and then it became his passion.
Yes, he got suckered in.
Oh yeah, well, like everyone did.
Yeah, it was a wonderful. It didn't have a very long run.
Unfortunately, no,
it
was
was
making no money at all.
Yeah, it was also in, it was in the Lyceum, for God's sakes, on the wrong side of Broadway, and nothing ever sells over there, right? Except for the magic show.
It's Keist. Well, Lisa Kron was also playing herself, so
nobody.
I don't think that was much.
The New York Times liked Will. Nobody else did.
Nobody else did. So the person that's left.
Well, Cynthia Nixon also did a fine job.
The elephant in the room is Cynthia Nixon.
Yeah.
I didn't like the play. I've seen Cynthia Nixon in off-Broadway shows where she was positively luminous, and of course everybody loves her from television. So,
right. Well, when you have Sex in the City, you have to be nominated.
One of my idols, yes, but she wasn't my favorite role. But never mind. But she did a credible job.
Yeah. Well, you can't really be luminous in that role.
No, you can't.
Mother of a dead child.
No,
it's kind of hard to walk on stage and go.
I like the fact that who was it who thought it was a musical?
Oh yeah,
maybe it will be.
Yeah, somebody earlier, yeah.
If they can make if they can make Leopold and Loeb a musical, they can make Rabbit Hole a musical too somehow. Your child is dead, but you go on.
Very good. It'll get Judy Kay to sing it for us. A little off key.
Just a little. Well, thanks for being so on key and in tune with us. Jeannie Lieberman, and again, folks should go to your website.
I'm the editor of TheaterScene.net.
TheaterScene.net, which has reviews from New York and also other places too, right, all over?
Oh, we're just opening an L.A.
How about the Vegas
office.
stuff? Are you going to cover the Vegas stuff?
If they would send a ticket.
Well, and the plane tickets, yeah.
Yeah, if they send a ticket, I would go.
There you go.
But I don't hear it's no big deal out there. Nothing seems to thrive in that.
Oh, yeah, just a very quick thing, Jeannie. I'm sorry. But I saw, of all things, Starlight Express in Vegas, and it was great.
Hey, I liked it when I saw it here.
No, they changed it. It was much better in London, but they went right back to the London roots, and it was wonderful there. I just couldn't believe it. It was better in Vegas.
It's very suited for that area.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being so wonderfully suitable for us on this Tony show.
Segues.
Yeah, all right. I'm getting better at them as the night goes on. Jeannie, thank you so much. It's been great.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Yes, let's have your attention. We've waited almost 3 hours.
Because there's nothing like a nice bowl of guineas.
That's right. I don't know what that means, but okay. Jeff Goodman has been with me this whole time, since 9 o'clock tonight. He's been a wonderful co-host on this Tony show.
Let me out.
Couple more minutes. We have 2 more categories to go. They're the big ones. Actually, let me do some of the thank yous, though, first. Okay, so gotta thank, again, Jeff Goodman.
You gotta thank me.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it without me.
I mean, we had 2 phone calls, okay, aside from all the people calling in. We had one, Pat from, I think, Levittown, who said she loves you. She's was listening to the whole show because of you. Huh?
What's not to love?
What's not to love? Then someone called in for me, but it was a relative. So.
And did they love you?
Yes,
did they love me?
Yeah, in fact, I've been married to her for 8.5 years, so she better, and I love her too, for my wonderful and beautiful wife, Joyce. So,
and we all love Joyce.
Yeah, she's great.
Joyce is wonderful.
She is. And who else?
And she has the kids at home.
Well, the 2 dogs, yeah.
Right.
Evil, vicious guard dogs, the inner sanctum of the Lefkowitz kingdom, guarded by 2 beautiful dachshunds. Anyway, and hey to Ufti and Murray if you're listening in.
And don't forget Minuteman Press.
You'll at Minuteman Press, MortgagesRock.com, and Performing Arts Insider Theater Magazine. I want to thank also some of the great folks who've been on the phone or with us today. Eva Heinemann, Charlie Gross, Rosalind Friedman, Jeffrey Sweet, Jeannie Lieberman, Iris Dorbian, Simon Saltzman, and, of course, Tony-nominated actor Danny Burstein.
That was just too exciting, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm building up the suspense. This is the wait part, as we heard Patti LuPone sing from Sweeney Todd. Well, gotta thank also Heath Schwartz at Bone O'Brien Brown for his help. Thank you to Bonnie D. Graham, who has a show on Friday nights on WGBB.
How about Joyce Keller?
Well, her too. Her show is on Wednesday nights.
Oh,
Bonnie Graham is Friday night at 6. It's called Long Island's Dating. Joyce Keller is on Wednesday nights at 11. She's the radio psychic and has been on this station for many years, I think about 18 years. And they both were very nice about supporting this show and giving me promos, so giving a little something back to them. Want to thank again station manager Jeff Lowe, program director Tom Ross, pardon me. And now, drum roll, 2 categories to get through with Jeff Goodman. Best Play, History Boys by Alan Bennett.
Lieutenant of Inishmore by Martin McDonough.
Rabbit Hole, David Lindsay-Abaire.
And Shining City by Conor McPherson.
Jeff, your thoughts?
Rabbit Hole. I like Rabbit Hole. I really love Rabbit Hole. History Boys is good, but Rabbit Hole moved me.
Agree, yeah. I don't know if Rabbit Hole quite moved me, but it held me more than History Boys, where I went in and out and kind of waited for it all to pull together, and it never really did. I mean, it does, and it's a very smart play. And funny, but
you
Rabbit
feel
Hole
more
is
intelligent when you leave, because we've just seen a lovely English play.
Right, yeah.
And going from that to the musicals...
Well, actually, no, I wanted to say a little bit more about Best Play, but also the fact of Lindsay-Abair's growth as a playwright. And I've said this on past episodes. The fact that his earlier plays, which got some notoriety, like Funny Mears and Wonder of the World, they were these dark, sort of weird farces. They had some human element, but they're also kind of crazy, and I don't think they all worked. And this one was such a different change of pace, Rabbit Hole was.
Yes.
That, I mean, it's not going to win. You know, History Boys is going to win.
I know.
But I would really kind of like to see Rabbit Hole take it.
Me too. Please, let's have a little upset.
Okay, yeah. Well, that would be a pretty big upset. Because Inishmore would be the other real contender there. The critics loved Inishmore. I thought it was not as funny as I wanted it to be. You know, it was well...
But it was shocking.
You know what? You know the scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail where they cut off the legs and stuff? Mm-hmm. That was shocking funny 25 years ago.
Right.
This is... Okay, so they're cutting up body parts on stage. Shocking, but...
Okay. But now on
Best musical.
On to lighter stuff. We have The Wedding Singer, Jersey Boys, Drowsy Chaperone, and The Color Purple for Best Musical, all of which I really liked. Because it was such a change of pace. Well, maybe not so much The Color Purple. But I kind of hope that we have the same thing as we had last year, where all 4 musicals are still running to this day, and one is closing in July.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure I need The Wedding Singer to run that much. Or certainly not Color Purple, but...
Well, Wedding Singer is just fun. It's just a good time.
I just didn't like it. I was bored.
Well, then you don't have to go anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, not as bored as I was for Color Purple. That I was just marking time on the old watch.
When's this over?
Now, Jersey Boys does a wonderful job of what it is. But it is a jukebox musical. One of the best. And fabulously directed. And a great time at the theater. But I didn't have as great a time as other people were.
Oh, I had a really good time. But I just don't think it deserves to be Best Musical because it's not the best musical.
Not the original, new, best thing.
And that's why it just all falls that the big winner is going to be...
Drowsy Chaperone. Oh, well...
So mark our words and we'll be here next week.
Yes, for another 3 hours. No, I don't think so, but I will be here next week from... definitely from 11 to midnight with my usual show.
And if my picks are right, I'll be here next week to gloat.
Yeah, okay.
That's all we'll gloat for.
You're invited back, and I might be on at 10 also. So check in on AM 1240 WGBB and on the internet at am1240wgbb.com for Dave's Gone By next week at 11, next Sunday. This has been wonderful. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to, as I said, to all the wonderful guests who called in, to my co-host, Jeff Goodman. I hope you liked it. Let me know what you thought. Write to me, davesgoneby at AOL.com. That's D-A-V as in Victor, E-S, gone by
and I'll write you back.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't guarantee I'll write you back, especially if you're nasty. But if you have any comments...
If you're nasty, I write you back.
Or ideas for next year's Big Tony show, send them to me, davesgoneby at AOL.com. And check out my website, davesgoneby.org. Thank you so much to everyone. Thanks also to David Hinckley for giving us that lovely mention in the Daily News. Watch the Tonys. They're next Sunday from 8 to 11 on CBS TV. And listen to me next week, right after the Tonys. Go to the theater.
Because they will end just before your show begins.
Exactly. Perfectly. Right on time. And as I said, just I know it's expensive, but there are ways to see theater inexpensively. And it's important. It's a good cultural thing to do for yourself, for your family, for your friends.
Go see a Broadway show.
That's right. Have a good night, everybody.